shadows, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed. Ghostly apparition hovering over me, asking what it wants to know. I'm shaking now, it calls out my name, cloaked and haunting me, cold hand touching me, fear overwhelming me, tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes, a breath on my neck, floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on, I wake up paralyzed.
Bite that brings out. In the dark you hear a growl. Monsters in the night, unnatural appetite. A demon sent me here to take you to the afterlife. I feel something change inside of me. The inner human slowly dead in me. I feel it come alive. The darkness brings me light. There ain't no stopping it, and you will never hide from me. Pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. It's time to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, shape shifting in the night, stalking you. Does my face seem familiar? Does my body tell you more? Will I change you or will it end you? And the power that I have can give you eternal life. Death doesn't know me. I've become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, where the mist, she follows me. I walk alone in the night, watching you, following you, leading on you through the night. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me. Oh, your life, I was still. I become the living dead. I own the darkness and know how beats inside of me. I become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me.
All right, folks. Welcome to Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT. Let's get started here. Sorry for such a late start. Sorry, it's already 9 o'clock. I hope people can hang out with us. We may have to just cut this one short because it's so long. People may start dropping out. We don't want that to happen. Dan Dawson says, "Go Buckeyes." Go Buckeyes. Yeah, I guess now because they're playing Notre Dame. But
I don't think Notre Dame has a chance.
I don't. Well, don't say that. They handled Georgia pretty well. I mean, thank you for that donation. We appreciate the donations. We understand that money is tight because everybody blew their money on Christmas. And so if you can't donate, we don't hold it against you, but it helps the show. And yeah. So we're waiting people to get in the chat here. I got to tell you, I was reading an article about economics. What a shock. I mean, it's kind of,
You took the words out of my mouth.
yeah.
Oh,
But-
surprise.
I was reading about economics, and it was talking about how gold is going to be the only thing that you can use because we've lost in our stocks
Mm-hmm.
a couple
Oh,
grand recently, just in a few days.
Mm-hmm.
how volatile it is. So what I did, just so you guys know what I've done, I've liquidated my crypto, all of it except for XRP and what's the other one?
Solana.
Solano. Bitcoin is going to fall, but it could drop. It could really bottom out and then go back up, but that's going to be a long cycle. And what we're looking at right now is a record number of home foreclosures, a record number of vehicle repossessions, a record number of people defaulting on their credit cards. So you could do what I did and put it in gold, invest in gold. And there's different ways to do that. This is not an advertisement, and I don't have any kind of sponsor for this.
It'd be great to be sponsored by just gold.
Yeah, just
PRT brought to you by gold.
Yeah, everybody's favorite currency since the medieval times of the last series of Yugas. Okay. No, so what you're looking at is, a market that's coming unglued because the Fed announced, I don't know if people understand what this means. They announced that they are going to stop printing money. Okay. They were printing, I think it was something like $130 billion a year or at one point or something like that, extra whatever, to the tune of like, I think it was 11 billion or anywhere from 11 billion to 13 billion a month or something, some crazy number. Like we need more money flooded into so now they're putting the clamps on it and they're like, well, now we're going to stop doing that because this is just crazy. No shit. I mean, it shouldn't have been crazy a long time ago. You figured it out. Like, so what you have is inflation when you just keep mass producing it, which makes rich people richer. And then you have what they're trying to do, which is, and the way they do it is they don't just stop printing the money and then everything fixes itself. What happens is that money gets rolled over into bonds, right? Then eventually, when those they're going to start now. They're going to what they call burning money. They're going to start burning money. That doesn't mean that they actually take real money and light it on fire. Because I had some argument in a group, and then this guy was saying, "Yeah, that's what they do." I'm like, "No, dude. I mean, they've shredded it into little pieces of whatever confetti. They do that." But they don't actually take it and burn it up. And then they just they take the old bills out of circulation and they put new ones in. Well, people that don't understand how the economy works, what just in a nutshell, what they do is they take those bonds and then eventually they get, just long story short, they sell it back to the Fed, and the Fed doesn't care. And then it just dissolves. The Fed doesn't need it because the Fed can print money out of thin air, so they don't care. So there is no. Somebody said the Fed is reserve is a fraud. Yeah, well, what can we do? But so what they do is they take all that money and then it disappears. So, but there's got to be a process, because if what could happen, the worst thing that could happen is that the stock market crashes, the economy crashes because there's no money coming into and so, but they're trying to control hyperinflation. This is administration that's on its way out. Believe me, dude. I don't care what you say. They did it. They literally caused it on purpose. And this was coming from a person who's pretty. He's a moderate that was saying this. I was watching this seminar, and he was not a Trump guy. He's not a Biden guy. He just said, this administration chose to create a higher level of inflation.
He's just a numbers guy. Yeah.
And so what's going to happen now is that you may be looking at a year or two down the road, 20 to 30% hike on products you buy. I'm talking Amazon, Walmart, the grocery stores. Close that door. All the different things that you could. I mean, you would not. It's unbelievable. So you can't even fathom what's coming. It's now there are people who believe that they're safe because they have a 401k and all this other stuff that you can kiss that goodbye.
Yeah.
Your 401k is going to become a 201k. Going to college, don't do it. Now, I'm not against higher learning. I'm against paying somebody for higher learning that's going to put me in debt for a million years after I get out.
$120,000 in debt.
Like my friend Jack, who was in debt. He's a chiropractor. He actually is an animal chiropractor, but he does humans too.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to have to go to him because I can't. I'm so big.
Yeah, he was the only one strong enough to crack your back.
I have a very muscular back. I'm a very strong guy. Like I can lift a lot of weight. Okay. But I had to go to a guy who specialized in cracking cattle and horses.
Mm-hmm.
That's a true thing. I have a friend, my friend Heather. She's a chiropractor. She's one of my best friends. But couldn't do me. She could do everybody else. She had a hard time with me. She would have to really sit there and try to mess with it, whatever. And it was just, So you're looking at a situation where if you invested in gold, you did the right thing, because that's going to be the only hedge against this inflationary market that's coming. People say it's already here. Yeah, it's here. We're like in the beginning. We're in the first quarter of this. If you're looking at it from a football game standpoint or a boxing match, you're in the first round.
Yeah.
You're getting punched, but you ain't got hit yet. Okay. This is bad, folks, what's coming, and what people don't understand. They don't get it. Now, there are people who did the right thing and they invested well. And just owning property is not going to help you, and money is not going to be money, but assets will be a lot more valuable than the money, because money's not going to be what the paper is printed on. So right now, I'm going to give you a piece of advice, and I'm waiting for the right time. I'm waiting until around the inauguration to see what happens, but we're still well up on our stocks.
Oh yeah.
So if we cash in, we've lost a couple grand in the short run, but in the long run, we've won. So in the big scheme of things, but we're getting ready to cash out. So if I were you, and some of the really good stocks are going to get hit the hardest. People can't fathom this because, especially the young people, they've never lived in an economy that's struggled like what's coming. They've always had a lush economy. That none of us now, I'm pretty sure nobody now has lived through a depression, but we know people who did. My great aunt lived through the depression. My grandparents, they lived through it. They were really young when it happened, but they remember as children suffering through it. If you stop and you look at this, I think my grandfather was born in like 1920. So, he was a kid. He was young. And then he went off to war. But you got to think, man, this is going to be something to behold. And so, I'm really, all jokes aside, I'm talking about a depression that's going to be, there's no telling how long it'll take to get us out of this. People have made massive mistakes, and the people in charge, and they've done things that they shouldn't have done. And now they're leaving the younger generations to pay the price. The boomers are directly responsible for a lot of it, and then it just kept going down, down the line. My parents didn't do us any favors, let's put it that way.
No.
But the next generation is going to eat it, and a lot of it is credit. It's a credit system, I mean, we really should call it a debt system, because credit is debt. But let's just say credit. People think of credit, they think of credit cards. But I'm talking loans. I'm talking anything and everything is going to become harder and harder to come by. And there will be certain industries that can survive, in particular, like the security industry is going to be there because people who have are going to want to keep it. We saw that during the
COVID.
during the, don't say the word, but during the, whatever. And then, you have people who are going to, mechanics, like they're always going to be there. Those people are always going to be around. You don't have to worry about having a job if you're those people. And you want to say hi? Let me put the camera on you.
Hi, everyone. Hang on. Let me give you this one. Sorry, I haven't been flipping the camera. I have this little thing right here, and I use this to flip the camera, but I forgot all about it. I just been talking and listening because I pay close attention when he starts getting into the economic stuff. It's I don't know. I'm like a little bit more like left brain technicals. Like that. This stuff is like really, really interesting to me. I try to pay close attention, and I forget. Hey, you gotta, idiot, change the cameras over. So
yeah. But when you stop and you look at what has been done and what is happening, if you have money in the stock market, I'm going to tell you right now, I would take it out. Let's wait and see what happens. There might be a quick shove, wouldn't even call it a push, maybe after the inauguration, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of a bull rush. I think it's going to end. And I think that a lot of people are going to be broke. I think you're going to see high-rise buildings that were once office buildings. They're going to be unoccupied. They're going to be.
We just passed one the other day.
There's a few of them.
Yeah.
You're starting to. This is the beginning. This is the first inning of the ball game. You're going to start seeing the homeless people hanging out in those places, and that'll give us work because the people that own them are going to say, "Hey, we want you to deal with the problem," and we're already doing that. We're already getting work because of it. It's like, yeah, we have this high-rise building, and it's inundated with people we don't want in there.
Yeah.
But that leads us into our first story. Sometimes a high-rise building has something else in it. They're not just people.
They're unpeople.
There's something else that's there. Okay. The first story I'm going to tell, and this is this is a creepy story. And here we go again. Is it just me, or does this name keep popping up? I know one of them is Eduardo, but Edward. So he goes by Eddie. And but when he was on the phone with, I'm sorry, when he was on the phone with me, I heard his mom say Eddie.
Oh God!
Because his mother's from Africa. He's a great guy. He's a nice guy. And I'm not making fun of him. I told him I couldn't help it. I said, "Have you seen Eddie Murphy Raw?"
Yeah.
You treat me like on the moon. But he was like, and so he's 33 years old. He's a divorcee. He ended up moving back in with his mother. Nice guy. His mother's from Africa. And here's a weird thing. His dad is Basque. Like his dad was Basque, like from the region between Spain and France. They're Basque people. And him and his mother, I guess his mother came to the United States. She was like a model. Like she came from Namibia.
Yeah.
And became a model. So that was weird. I mean, that how she got into it. And so his dad met her because his dad worked in the fashion model industry. So he comes from very good looking people, whatever. And so I said, "So what do you do?" He says, "I'm a security guard." He doesn't have an accent at all. His parents are both, foreign, but very interesting guy. And I met him. Now, do y'all remember Fight for Your Life? Do you remember that guy? the guy who
That was a podcast episode.
the guy nearly died because these, I just to say what they are, werewolves, Bigfoot, Dogman creatures, whatever, cornered him up in a tree.
Yeah, that's the one that happened by near Georgetown, right?
Now, I did consult, I'm going to go back to that story for just a minute because I'm going to consult some sources here. A buddy of mine named Colt, okay, that's his nickname. Colt got in touch with me about that because I reached out to him and he took forever to get back to me, man. He's a mechanic down in Houston, a diesel mechanic, and he's busier than me.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, maybe I'm in the wrong business. So anyway, he messaged me back and he said, "You want to say hi, Nelly?"
Hi.
You got to say hi with the tiny hand. There
That's
you
the
go.
wrong one.
Oh, well, you could just use your own hand.
Oh, Maddie left her hand here.
There,
Pick up your hand, Maddie.
there she is,
Just falling apart like
Mrs.
Beetlejuice.
Tiny Hand. So what ended up happening? Colt got back with me. Well, he reached out and he couldn't get a hold of me, of course. So he bugs Anthony, and Anthony's like, "You need to get a hold of this guy. He keeps pestering me." So the dude tells me, he says, "Look," he says, I did some work for you, you know, and he did some researching on this, and the guy that worked for him, that used to work for him, had a very similar experience with these creatures, right? Colt is a different type of guy because he used to work. I met him through the vampire cult people. He goes to their church and he used to work for them. They have people that which we would call familiars, that they're like a familiar. They'll help you do things, whatever. He didn't do it on the promise of, I want to be a vampire, I want to be a creature of the night, werewolf, whatever the hell. That's not what he did it. He did it because he was selling drugs and he got caught up with Carlos, and he saw too much, and so they threatened to kill him. Usually they just kill you. But he had connections, and so what he did, and he had a lot of skills. So he became like their flunky gopher slave, for lack of a better term, but they paid him, and they paid him well. And so, but imagine living a life where, kind of like the mafia, where at any time you could just be killed because they just decide they don't need you. So he had to keep on making himself be, important to them. And at one point he was about to take his oath, which is like how they accept whatever they are, because he didn't want to die. You know, he had a wife and kid. And so he was like, my son had been born. So Colt told me, he says, dude, I became sort of like a bodyguard, a human bodyguard, because they have human bodyguards that protect them. And he says, so me and him were talking, and the guy whose story was told, it happened to him. He was out working in it. Now get this. They actually raise animals, these lycanthropes, because some of them just choose to eat.
Hey.
Oh, you okay?
Oh. What?
All right?
You-
Okay. Yeah, let's drink that.
What? Push pause.
No,
You're all right.
pause.
It's all right.
Are you okay?
Take the camera off me from.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'm good. I felt like something was in my throat, and I'm fine. Let me turn the camera back. I feel like something was squeezing my throat. I said a prayer. No, it didn't go down the wrong pipe. There was nothing to go down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, you're just in the middle
I
of
just
talking.
started choking, and I started drinking. I had to drink the water to get the. Hold on one second. The dangerous subject, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so here we go. So talking about this is sometimes it's, I get a headache. It's weird. Okay, so what he told me, and I'll follow what I'm going to tell you, and then we'll get back to Eddie. What I was told by Colt was that it happened to him. Okay, the same thing that happened to the guy from Fight for Your Life. I don't remember the guy's name. I remember the guy that got me in touch with him. I want to say his name was Bruce or something like that. The guy who it happened to, the Fight for Your Life episode. So what ended up happening is he got in touch with me, and I asked him about this. I said, because he had said something in passing about these beings, these werewolves, okay, being animalistic. And he says when they change and they go completely feral and they're feeding, they're not human.
Mm-hmm.
He's like they're not like most of the time they still have this human element about them. He believes that when you hear, this is what Colt said. And Colt said that whenever he hears stories, and now he's been on the internet recently, I kind of piqued his interest with a few things. He thinks that these Dogman are just these werewolves that are just completely in that feral mode. And they can go feral and stay like that for like months at a time. And then almost like they forget who or what they were. They're not even human anymore. And it will take another one of these lycanthropes, whatever, to bring them back. Or it might take somebody, one of these bloodsuckers to do something with them, like sorcery is what it is. And it's all just dark magic. I'm telling you, folks, this is real. These people do this crap, and it is absolutely insidious. So you have this sort of technology that they have that we don't understand, because I think that's really what this stuff is. It's a type of technology. And so you have this melding of human and Nephilim, whatever, demons that make them what they are. Mm-hmm. And so there is a system in place, right? Now, I told him the case of that story. I said, go check out this episode and tell me what you think. And he says that he 100% was very just straight up. That's when he called me back. He said, look, I finally got around to listening. He's like, I got some time, and we were playing the show where he works, as a diesel mechanic. And he said, look, I think that guy, not only is he lucky to be alive, he said, but 100%. He goes, dude, those things were in kill mode, and they were. He goes, if they were using any part of their human brain, whatever, they would have figured a way to get him. He said, but you're actually safer when they're like in that frenzied state. He goes, if you can get some distance on them, because they'll be distracted and go back to what they're doing. Yeah. A lone one, when it's kind of calculating and thinking, before it kind of falls into that hunt mode, he's like, that's when they're really dangerous. And so this guy, 100%, I believe him. I mean, we've talked multiple times recently, and I believe him. I mean, what he's saying, I think, is real. Now, he was recommended by some of these other people. I'm going to show you something tonight. Let's put it this way. I'm waiting for permission. I want to show you something. Okay. There is actual groups now that do seminars that teach initiates how to become lycanthropes. No, not like I'm a Therian. It's one of those where they think that they're that in spirit or whatever, which that exists too. People can actually, when you're in your spirit form, it can take on it's a metaphysical thing. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about actual shape-shifting. It doesn't require a whole bunch of crap. It's not American Werewolf in London. I'm telling you, that is not what happens. These beings, they can change like that. Like it's boom. It's not where they have to go through this whole,
that's cinematic transformation.
That's movie stuff, dude. Okay. They do this pretty quickly. Okay. The late J.C. Johnson talked about seeing it on the Navajo reservation. I've probably interviewed at least 24 Native Americans who've seen it on the reservation from different, walks of life. And I'm going to tell you this. What I think is these medicine men, they guard these secrets, but it's gotten so popularized now that a lot of them are just out there doing it in the open, and they don't care anymore. Because somebody videos it, they don't even believe that it's happening. They don't believe it's real.
Yeah.
So they don't have to be afraid. And I talked to one of them, of course, Charles. And he says, we walk out in the open now. He goes, I'm at the grocery store and I'm like, yeah. I'm a werewolf. I said I did the same thing, but I was joking,
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, yeah, people laugh. I think it's a big joke. You're like, ha, 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 until the teeth come out. And then, same thing with vampires. It's a joke. It's a legend. It's a story that we've grown up with. Why is it so prominent in our culture? Why does the reptilian thing, Bigfoot and ghosts, aliens, and werewolves, why are they so popular? They just keep coming up over and over and over again. People are like, I saw this lady on the plane. It's not human. Then they go and they interview her later on. It's not the same woman.
No, she doesn't look the same.
No, they put it through facial recognition. It's not the same lady. And then you have people in Hollywood claiming to see vampires, werewolves, and reptilians. You think that this is a joke. It's not a joke, man. I'm telling you. They're committing human sacrifice. They're doing all of this crap, and they're doing it right in front of you. And then they're giving you soft disclosure in the form of movies, and you're going like, oh, that's a funny movie. That's a good movie. No, man. It's really happening.
Or performing like black magic rituals and calling it a halftime show.
Yeah.
Calling it concerts, calling it entertainment. It's not. You're supposed to believe that, but they don't believe that. They know what it is. You don't. I mean, y'all do, but the average person doesn't.
So, anyways, time to drink the beet juice. And
I don't envy you.
I can't stand this crap, dude.
I mean, it doesn't smell. It doesn't smell like it tastes bad because you open it and it just smells like celery juice, and I like celery juice. And I like vegetable juice. I like V8.
Well, what you need to do is,
but it must taste like.
Pour some
crap.
into a glass and take a drink of it.
I think I will.
Okay. Go get a glass.
Okay. All right. Fine. I'll get a glass.
And then you tell me what.
I'm not doubting it tastes like crap. I'm just saying it smells good.
Well, enjoy it. You can have some, brother. Anytime you want. I like the blueberry concentrate and the cherry juice in it, but I don't care for the other. It just doesn't, the way it, and the lemon, it is so sour, and I'm not complaining because I have to drink it. It kills the uric acid. So what ended up happening with Eddie? He was telling me he had a situation. Now, I met this guy through the dude that introduced me to, I wish I could remember his name. Is it Nathan? Oh, man. It's from the episode Fight for Your Life.
I remember there was a guy named Nathan pertaining to that episode.
I think his name was Nathan. But anyway, I talked to the guy. He was homeless. And he would go and camp out in the middle of the woods. He liked his solitude until that shit happened. He was like, he's like, yeah, I like solitude.
I'm more of a people person
That's
now.
a little more, I'm a little more social now. He asked me a question one day, just out of the blue. He had messaged me several months back. It was like back in the summer. And he goes, if this happened to me, and are vampires real? Because he thinks he may have seen something weird when he was homeless here in the city, which was what kind of drove him out to the country, because he was sick of all the weird stuff and people here in the city. And I told him, I said, vampires, I believe, are real, but it's not the way people think they are. It's kind of, but not totally. And he said, yeah, that's, and so no wonder he went out to the country, you know?
Yeah.
So I was talking to Eddie, and Eddie says, he goes, a mutual friend, got me in touch with you. Yeah. And I told him, thank you. The thing is, thank you everybody that's donated so far. We appreciate it. When you look at what happened to this guy, he was doing security in a high-rise building here in Austin. And there was something in the building. It was an abandoned building, and I can't tell you where because that could cause problems. That particular company still has that contract, and I don't want trouble with that company. I don't want them because we're rivals, and they might think that we're trying to. I don't want to get sued, basically. Let's put it that way. So just going to be nice and not say anything. It's just better that I don't say where it's at. But what happened was this guy was working there, and the first night he was there, he was told by their patrol guy was a patrol girl. She came by and she said, hey, here's the key to get into the building. Make sure that you check the building because they were watching a parking lot. And there were break-ins. And she says, so at least 3 times a night, you need to go up in the building. There's a DTEX up there. Explain to them what the DTEX is.
Well, DTEX is just like a little thing that it's like a sensor that you place like on a wall or on a door or something. And the security guard has a fob. He goes up to it, places it up against that sensor, and it notes the time that the security guard was there. It's your proof that you were doing your patrols. So
Yeah.
So,
they go up. He goes up into the building, and he says it was completely empty, and it was even gutted, like to the point where like they were going to do renovations on the building, and then they said, you know what, we're out of money, so oh well. And so what it ended up happening, he would walk through the building, and there would be like the wires and stuff hanging down. And he was like, this doesn't look safe. It was pretty bad, and I know where this place is at. And if I was so inclined, I would go inside, but that would be breaking and entering, and they are armed and they're still there, and I don't like being shot. So, and security guards in Austin don't play around. Okay, there's a video of just recently of a friend of mine, his nightclub. It's a bar and grill, right? My friend Chad, he's got a bar and grill right next to his African-American guy. And he's, like dealing with this all the time. These people in this club, it's a salsa merengue club, I believe. It's like a Cuban club. And they got into it with some other people. I want to say they were Venezuelan that they got into it with. And the guy he shoots one of them in the car, and then the security guard walks up and bam, 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 kills him.
Yeah.
And we years ago have actually, it's happened a couple times. We've had our guards have to actually shoot people. That has actually happened. And one of them still works for us. He was, the police cleared him and everything.
Yeah.
His name was Greg. That's the last one. But, guy walked in, started shooting, and he got capped. Okay. I mean, it happens. You don't want to play around in Austin because the guards here, the police, everybody, they're all on high alert because there's so many problems with these homeless people and with these crazy people. It's not even gangbangers anymore.
No.
It's just wild ass homeless people that will go crazy and do stupid things. And
it's like tribes of homeless people.
Yeah. They'll try to stab you and, shoot you, impale you, choke you, whatever. And these guards ain't playing around, man. I heard of a guard the other day. This happened in San Antonio, but I mean, same thing, and the guy was getting choked, and he just put his gun and boom, shot the guy. But the guy kept doing, he had to shoot him multiple times in his abdomen to get him off of him. But you're just like, damn, dude, this is getting out of hand, So we have to have, like, one of our sites is saying, hey, you have to have 2 guards in this one place when to install the appliances. And I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, the company that's doing it, they don't even want to be in that area because of the homeless people, unless you have another guard there. So I'm like, wow. So we have to have 2 guards there just so they can install the appliances. which is crazy because I mean, like, you know, what do you think's going to happen during the install? That's not when it's going to happen. When it's going to happen is whenever you install that, they're going to come back and try to steal.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever, man, whatever they want to do. So this guy's a guard, right? And he goes up into the building and he goes, I'm up on the 4th or 5th floor, you know, and the elevator doesn't work. So he's having to walk, you know, and he said that they finally had people coming and doing some work, you know, floor to floor. They would be there for a few hours and then they would leave. So they were making a half-ass attempt at trying to get this place functional, I guess, to rent it out or whatever. As of now, it's still just kind of sitting there looking like shit. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these buildings just sit there looking like shit. Most of Austin looks like shit right now. I mean, honestly. But he said that, you know, he goes, I saw something move from one room to the next. And he goes, and I'm standing there. He's like, and I'm like, I know, I just saw that. And so he took out his phone because he wanted to take a video. And he goes, there was electricity in the building.
Mhm.
He's like, and then the lights go out. Like,
Hmm.
you know, so he just left. He went down, you know, back downstairs when the patrol captain lady came. Well, it's not a patrol captain. It's their guard checks, whatever. She shows up and he tells her, he says, look, I think that there's something in this building. And she's like, yeah, we've heard that before. She's like, you're the 5th guard that's been here in the last 3 weeks. And he says, well, I'm staying outside. She goes, you can do that, but that detex is going to show on the computer that you didn't do your job. And then when we turn it in, no, they're not going to pay us.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to get paid. So he put in for a transfer, but a lot of these companies, things can move very slowly. And so he told them that he wanted to transfer. They're like, look, we don't have any other work. So he went in and looked for another job. Unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of people who have jobs right now.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of people. There's more people now with jobs, you know, in Austin. So people are kind of like, at one point it was like the job market, you couldn't get people, and now that we have too many people. So it's kind of an ebb and flow, but you know, right now there's a lot of people and that want to work. And so he was like, I couldn't get, you know, anything. One place offered me 6 hours a day working security at a nightclub. I didn't want to do that. And he's like, and another one was like at a patrol deal, whatever. And he goes, and my license is expired, so I'm gonna have to get that done. Which since COVID has been a problem, going to the DMV to get a license is like an adventure. Not even joking. I don't know why they can't fix that here in Texas.
Yeah.
Or at least in Travis County, whatever. So he says, I was trying to get my deal, whatever. He goes, in the meantime, they offered me another $1 per hour. And then I talked to the boss and I said, look, can you fix this to where I just have to go in the building maybe once or twice? I don't want to go in there. It was supposed to be 4 times, and they said 3, and it was 2. And he said, look, just go in there twice. I think we can get away with that. And so they didn't argue. Like, the people that he worked for, they knew that something was wrong with that building. They said it was haunted. What the truth is could be very different. Now, to his credit, Eddie is no dummy. He actually is a pretty smart guy. And he, you know, and I must say that there's something to be said for people who are athletic. I've seen guys that train jujitsu and box, and I've seen guys that come in there just athletically built, limber, very gifted guys, and just hand these guys that train constantly, just hand them their ass.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
Natural ability goes a long way.
Now, both sides of the coin will say that they're going to be the guy. You know, there are people who train all the time and they're not in the best of looking shape, whatever. I have a couple of friends like that, and they'll armbar the shit out of you. They'll mess you up. But that's not everybody, you know. For an example, like Chief, like, he doesn't look like the biggest, strongest, but if you roll with that dude,
Yeah.
he will fuck you up. I'm not
Tie you in
joking.
a pretzel. He did that to me like it was
Yeah.
nothing.
He can do that. I mean, that's his wheelhouse. Or Deuce.
Yeah.
Deuce isn't the biggest guy, but he'll tear you up. Or like stand-up guys like Trauma.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just see him in the street and you're thinking, but you can look like trauma. You can tell by his face. He's
Yeah.
been, or like Emilio, who's got the ears, you
Yeah.
can tell with the cauliflower ears. We had a lot of fighter friends. Or Vince. Vince is another one. You could just, Vince got a big scar under his eye. Like, he looks like a pirate. You're like, oh, you got your eye back, But I'm talking about some of these guys that are just athletic. I watched it happen. I saw this guy, his name was Arthur. He came in there and real friendly guy, and just nobody could pin this guy. I mean, he could, he was just all he had done was watch videos about this. But some people can absorb things like that, But he was so athletic. Turns out he was a gymnast when he was young, so that helped him. And eventually he got smashed because he was, going above his pay grade. But he became a great kickboxer / judo trainer. Now he coaches judo up in Dallas. But I mean, not everybody's like him. We called him Captain A. He was a pretty tough guy back in the day. But I digress. The point is, athleticism goes a long way. And Eddie, a little bit of martial arts. He did a little bit of boxing. And but he's not a fighter per se. But he grew up. His brother was a boxer and fighter. His brother was like the fighter, trained him. And so he says, I had a brother several years older than me and an older cousin, and they taught me a lot of stuff. But he says, dude, I'm not like trained like you guys, but I'm trained. And so he says, I go into there and I'm ready to go, man. He goes, I got this stun gun. I went and I bought this baton. He's like, I'm fixing to whoop something's ass.
Got the Batman duty belt.
And he's over there, and right when he gets to that point in the story where it's getting good, his mother's like, Eddie. He's like, so he goes, you can call me Edward. I go, no, I like Eddie. I'm gonna call you Eddie. Eddie sounds good. And she goes, Eddie, I told you to go to the HEB. And I said, hey, man, you better do what your mama said.
You dumb yes, boy.
And then he's like, Mom, I'm on the phone talking about what happened to me. She goes, that dumb devil gonna get you. You keep going to that job, blah, blah, blah. She's like getting on to him, And so I talked to her very briefly. Like, he had got up to go do something to grab something. And it was his vape pen, whatever. And she grabs the phone and she goes, how you doing? Starts talking to me. And she's like, I watch your show. I like your voice. I said, oh, thank you. She didn't say she liked my face. She didn't say that. She just said, I like your voice. She's like, you have pretty jewelry. I'm like, still no compliment on the face.
Like
But that's fine. That's fine. You were a model. So you got a high standard of what beauty is.
Yeah.
In our country, I'm very doable. People look at me and they think, oh, yeah, I like that guy. And I'm hot to American women. Right? So I forgive her for being ignorant. Doesn't, But no, she was a really nice lady. So anyway, but she's real superstitious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, real superstitious. And she was talking about people giving her the evil eye when she was working as a model. There was a lot of competition. People were putting spells on people. Yeah. She said she wouldn't leave her fingernail, break a fingernail, you grab it, toenail. I mean, like eyelash, no hair, nothing that they could take. Nothing, none of your objects that has your energy on it. She was going through this whole thing. And I was like, yeah, I've heard this before.
Yeah, I never thought about that. But there's got to be a lot of envy in that career.
Oh, it's so superficial.
In that industry. Just,
And me and Eddie talked. He's a pretty fun guy to talk to. And we were talking about a lot of stuff. We're talking about Elon Musk and his ideas about. He used to work at Tesla for a while doing security, but he was saying that he goes, imagine growing up with two parents that were models. Mm-hmm. He goes, and then I'm born and I'm like average. But I was like, hey, you got to do what you got to do, man. I was born average and look how beautiful I became. I'm one of the beautiful people now, Eddie. You can do it too. Look, I got my this is called, I don't want to copy Zoolander because he's got that look down, but this is called Silver Steel. And I got Red Steel too.
It's all the same.
So you claim.
Fucking taking crazy pills.
Now here's Gold Steel, my favorite. So there you go. Those are my three steals Coming to a poster near you.
Someone's
I
gonna
got.
clip that and put it on a poster.
They
I
probably
guarantee
should.
it.
They probably should. I have a friend, whose dog. Every time we go to our friend's perfume shop, she's right there on the wall.
Mhm.
I'm like, I've noticed that she was a kid, and she's a model, and
Mhm.
she's on there, and I'm like, wow. So she was on Facebook one day, and I was like, "What do you think?" And I sent her the picture of the duck lips, and she just died laughing. I'm like, I wasn't trying to be funny, but yeah, yeah, okay. I was trying to see what I could do with this. All right, see if we could go somewhere with this, but apparently it's not going to happen. So, guys, you're stuck with me. You'll have me here because I'm not a model. Okay. Oh, okay, D with the rainbow flags. Yeah, thank you. Sure.
Is that what? Oh yeah, that is what that is. Like a Romanian flag. Or
Not all models have to be gay people. All right. Whatever. And I don't want to say anything about being gay one way or the other, because if you say something bad and you're a phobic, and if you be like, oh, it's okay to be whatever, then you're that way, and you're hanging out at the Iron Bear. So I said it right this time, the Iron Bear. So, anyways, I tell you what, though, it's funny when we drove by there. Was it last night when we were downtown? We were downtown last night. And my wife goes, there it is. There's the place right there. And I look over, and there's a guy doing the vape thing, standing there, and he looked like Fluffington. I'm not even joking. He really did. I'm not even trying to talk about these people. I'm just saying I had to do a double take because I thought it was him. So there are in that place a bunch of guys that look like that with the beard, but they look like a bunch of saggy, flabby dudes, I guess, that are there to try to. What they're doing, hitting on smaller guys or something. I don't know.
Looking for their twink.
Yeah, that's what I was told by my hairstylist, she's a lesbian, but she says that's what that is. And I was like, oh, I said that looks like him. It looks really, honestly. But that's all we're going to talk about that. But anyway, enough with the flags. All right, enough joking, because if you make too many jokes, then you get in trouble. Y'all gonna get me in trouble with YouTube. So what ended up happening with Eddie, he goes, dude, imagine, you're in that building, and he's like, I'm in there by myself. And he goes, I'm not a pothead. Okay. Mm-hmm. He goes, I don't smoke a lot. He goes, my brother does, he does. He's like, he lifts weights all the time. He trains, but these jiu-jitsu guys, there's like a whole culture of them. They like to smoke out. He goes, so I took jiu-jitsu for about a year, and he goes, and all those guys just smoke a lot. They smoke a lot. So he's like, I'm not joking. They were smoking out, him and his buddy, at my house, and I got a contact. I think I was a contact high. So he said they called me in at 9:00. They said somebody messed up the schedule. It was a 6 to 6 post. He goes, they called me at 9:00. He said, can you go in? And the first thing they told him, hey, make sure you do the hit up in the building. You have to do the hit every supposed to be every 3 hours.
Yeah.
Which is 4 a night, but then they cut it to 2, and they're going to try and get away with it, right? So he says the first thing he did when he got there, he had to go do the hit. He goes, so I go upstairs. He goes, and I can feel it. I'm like I'm high,
Yeah.
He said, so I see this thing go by one of the rooms. I'm walking. He goes, and I just try to walk real quick to the D-Tex, and I'm out of there. But you got to go. There's one on each level. So he's like, I'm trying to find it. And I know what that's like. I used to work at the Haunted Tower, and it was like that. And so he said he sees something go by real fast in the corner of his peripheral. And he goes, I normally don't look. He goes, but this time I turned and I looked. And he goes, I see this thing in the corner on the 4th floor. He's like, I'll never forget it. He said, on the 6th floor, sorry. He said, I look and I see this thing standing in the corner. He goes, and it looked like it had its arms like up against the wall. He goes, but it was dark. And he goes, I knew that all I had to do, because some of the electricity doesn't work in all the rooms and stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, all I had to do was turn on the flashlight and look. And he goes, I'm 6'2". He goes, I'm 215. I'm solid. I have no fat. I'm a muscular dude. He goes, I was terrified. He goes, I did not want to turn the light on, but I had to, because it could be a homeless person, because there have been homeless people in there. He goes, and they'll get into the building and they'll go up into the building and hide.
Yeah.
And they actually found a dead body in there.
Oh.
Yeah. according to one of the people that worked before him, it was this Brazilian guy that was working there, and told him that the guy had no blood.
Oh, he was exsanguinated.
Exsanguinated, yeah. And so when he told me that, I was like, he goes, and I'm not one of those people. I don't believe automatically, just believe in this kind of stuff, you know. And he says, coming from a background where my parents, you know, they lived in New York City, you know, for years. And then they moved. His dad got a job. And then during the tech thing, his dad got into the whole tech industry, whatever. I mean, his brother or whatever got into the tech industry. And his dad ended up on disability because he hurt his back. He had an accident. And so his brother moved down here to do a startup company, whatever. And you know, and so they ended up in Austin. And his mother has a pretty good business too. And she actually is into health and fitness. And she works for a company that designs like tights, clothing, you know, all those kind of whatever, like the people are into. You know, I don't wear that kind of stuff because I'm too sexy already. So I don't want to go out like making people get all hot and bothered. I'm like,
sure.
I'm like, please, lady, pay attention to your husband, okay? I'm over here minding my business, trying to eat my delicious salad, and you're staring at me. It's making me very uncomfortable.
Like, I'm up here, okay? I'm not a piece of meat. I'm up here. You can make eye contact with me when you speak with me, okay? You're not speaking to my body. You're speaking to me. I'm a person, okay?
Not a slab of delicious steak, okay? And so, yeah, I get that a lot with women. They'll come up and they're just drooling and they're trying to, you know, and they always want to rub my shoulders and stuff. And I'm like, hello, it's very uncomfortable for my wife. You're doing this in front of her. Please stop, you know. But, you know, we get them off of us. I'm like, get out of here. And then they're always passing me the notes and I'm like, meet me. I'm like, can't do that. Get out of here. It's hard. It's hard being one of the beautiful people. People don't know what it's like. It's very difficult.
The beautiful people.
Yeah, Joel, exactly. Can't go anywhere. I'm always getting mobbed like the Beatles. You know? Yeah. Sure. Okay, so he said, though, he says, you know, I go up in there, he goes, and I'm petrified. I don't want to shine the light on this, whatever it is. And he said, like, I literally held my breath, and then at the count of 3, I shine my light. He goes, this thing moves so fast that it darted off to its right, to my left. And I was trying to follow it with the light. He goes, and then he goes, I kid you not, I swear it went up the wall and it was going up over the ceiling. He's like, and there were like these tiles, kind of like the ones we got here, like that one that's about to collapse on us. But you got these ceiling tiles. He's like, and this thing was like you could see the ceiling kind of like it was going to collapse. You know, This thing was crawling on it. And he goes, I fell backwards out of there. He's like, and I ran down the stairs and I never went back up there. He said, I went there night after night, you know, for about a week, and I wasn't doing the detox. He goes, and I knew that at some point I was going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
He said, so I made a deal with the field supervisors that would come out there, a woman, and then there was a guy. And he said, this one guy, he said he didn't care. So he would go up there and and he goes, I was worried about him. His name was Dustin. He goes, I told him, I said, Dustin, don't do it. There's something in there in that building. So this went on, they would do it twice a night. And he goes, I made a deal with him. I said, look, I'll give you an hour of my pay, you know? So, you know, he was giving them like, you know, whatever, $18 an hour, whatever it was. And he said that I was losing money, you know, every night because I didn't want to go up in there. And so he says, finally, they got me a transfer. And now he's working in another place where he's happy. He's comfortable. He's out there for 360 where everybody sees Bigfoot. Great. So, but he's out there now. And I know where he's at now. I told him, I said, that's, you know, kind of where, you know, where the Indeed is.
Yeah.
He's in that area over there, not at the Indeed, but he's over in that area. And so I know that area has got a lot of those, whatever. And so that's his little deal. It's not really a patrol route. He goes from like building to building and then back, and he sits. So he's got a pretty cool gig, and they gave him a truck to use, and so you can't beat it. And so, he's lucky to get transferred right now too. I mean, the way the climate is, it's like take what you can get right now. You take it or leave it. You know. There's a lot of people trying to get jobs. And so, but that'll change too. It just depends on the market. But what ended up with him, what happened, he says, so I said, you never really got to see, what it was. And I was like, well, this shit's not going on the show because you didn't, I'm thinking at the time, and he goes, no, but let me tell you what happened. He goes, okay. He goes, I worked with this guy. We called him D. Okay. And D is that's what they call him, D. And he says D was one of these guys. He was a real animated African-American dude. He was like very like, I ain't afraid of no ghost type guy, whatever. He worked up there, and he goes, I'd worked with him a couple times. He goes, and he ended up working with me on when we had a 2-man gig during Christmas time last year. They had 2 people. Okay. And because a lot of these people were off at that time. Mm-hmm. So a lot of theft and people break into buildings and stuff. So they beefed up the security. And he said, dude, it was for a couple of weeks we worked together, leading up to whenever people started taking their vacations and stuff, Okay. So he said, man, he's like, we were working together, and I find out that he had worked at that building, but he had only worked there for a week. And he said that he had kicked out a couple of homeless people from there. He said, and then one night he went in there to confront a homeless person, and he was up on the 6th floor, same place he was. Mm-hmm. And he said, he goes, I go into that because they were, telling stories, right? And he says, I go into this would have been a couple of rooms down and across the hall from where he was at. And he said, he goes, I go in there and there's something under the desk. And it sounds like there's a crunching, popping noise going on. And he's like, and I'm like, what is that? So he goes, and I look under the desk, and it's not one of those desks where, like you can see under it, Yeah. So he looks under the desk and he sees this thing. No way to really describe this thing. It had what looked like it was a small, skinny body with long, spindly arms and legs. He's like, and it had a wolf-like face, like an elongated snout-like face, pointy ears, kind of like a werewolf-looking type creature. He's like, but it had these weird-looking arms, like it was like the arms, there was no muscle tone on them at all. They were just like, you could see just enough of the muscle, and then they were like this bone. Gross. And it had this weird pot belly. And it was eating, he said, what looked like a giant rat. He goes, and when I shined the light in its face, it jumped up and it hit itself on the desk, and the desk flipped over. And these desks are pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. And he said that it began to crawl around and all over the place. And he says, dude, I was freaking out. He goes, then this thing coughed up some kind of weird black goo that stuck to the wall like webbing. I kid you not, man. He goes, and dude, this guy, he goes, dude, I flipped out, dude. He goes, I dropped my flashlight and I ran down the stairs. I couldn't see where the hell I was going. And so then he tells the patrol officer. The patrol officer goes up in there, must have seen it. They called the police. Okay, the police came. The patrol officer had already said he wasn't going to go up in there. The police went up in there. They only went up to the 3rd floor, and then they went back down. And they were like, "Look, we got call. This is a defunded city, so like we got other calls. We got things we got to do." So they left. But he said the patrol guys saw it, or at least the legs of this thing. And so I asked him, I said, what, if you can get any more information did you get any more information from your friend or whatever? He's like, well, I can see if I can get more detail out of it. So he did. And so he said that he talked to this guy, and this guy gave him as much detail as he could. It was black, and where the end of the hands, where there should have been like appendages or whatever, like even the Dogman has
Yeah.
this thing had like weird looking hooks.
Ugh.
Like two of the fingers, they were like this, like they were like hooks. And the feet, same thing. He goes, and it was just black. It was a horrible looking creature. And it had these weird looking teeth. So, what in the hell is lurking up in that building? Another guard that worked there, according to them, saw someone loitering around at the foot of the inside. They were standing there on the stairs, and when they went up to confront them, the person just kind of like turned and just went into the wall. So ghost stories abound, but the person looked like a disheveled homeless person wearing a camo jacket. Now, why that's important is because that fits the description of a person that was found.
They found that person dead.
Yeah.
Oh.
So there you go. You want to keep Austin weird? Doing a good job. So I don't know that story. You go to work and you think, well, I'm just going to do my job, and then you end up running into some weird crap. And folks, I can tell you right now, one of our guards is on hiatus right now because he's injured, but he had some really creepy stuff happen to him. We have several guards that have had weird things happen. In fact, at a place that's where Scorpio is at tonight, I'm not going to say the name of it, but Clark has worked there. Everybody who's worked there has had something weird happen to them. I didn't even realize it until we had a conversation the other night, and so did Maddie. Maddie had something weird happen to her. Now, she's so tiny that, she would just be a snack for whatever. It wouldn't even fill anybody up. They just, So, yeah, she had something weird happen there, and I'll let her tell it one day. I'm not going to get into it. And then Scorpion had something, and then my brother, and then who else was there? There was a bunch of people that had been at that place who had a lot of weird stuff, stories. In fact, I think Caitlin did too. She was just here picking up some merchandise.
Yeah, she's worked there before.
Mm-hmm. And I know Kenny did, and I know Zane did. I'm trying to remember who else was there. They said they had something weird happen to them.
Like Scorpion just said, I keep hearing voices but find nobody on property almost every day.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very creepy place. And it ultimately led to my brother getting injured because he thought there was somebody, and it was a shadow. And it just, there was somebody else that was on that phone call. I'm trying to remember who it was. There was somebody else that worked there. Anyway, it's a dark and creepy place. When they first were building it, I worked it a couple times, and it was just like a giant pit. And I was like, we're already here. Well, the reason that we were already there to be in this giant pit is because they were already having people trying to hang out and camp out there, because it used to be an old church where they allowed homeless people to sleep and get out of the cold. They've already found one body there. Nobody knows how that person met their demise. And when they were digging it up underneath the church, they found another body. And one of our superintendents was called and threatened, which I thought was weird, by somebody we don't know who. They just said, what you're doing is sacrilege. You tore down a church to build a high-rise. And he's like, look, buddy, I'm getting paid. The church is defunct. I mean, if you want to, buy the property, go ahead. Thank you, Rita Burnett, for that donation.
Thank you so much. It's very generous,
Thank you.
so much, Rita.
That's awesome.
Yeah. As much as we've been begging and we haven't been getting any money lately.
Please, sir.
I need
have some
those
more.
cranberries, people.
God, I stand by what I say about the cranberries. Like, okay, so where was I at? I was going to say something about that yesterday. Oh,
Can I still do?
it just right off. It's right off the edge of my mind here.
Off?
Oh, okay. Now remember, I was at HEB and I was buying salad. You know, like not the ready-made salads, but like stuff to make salad. You know, the fixins to make salad, because I'm trying to lose weight. Not because I give a crap what people think about me, but because it's for my own health. And my wife's like, "Look, you need to get healthy." Period. You know, it's just
So there's no more kidney stones, gouts, or whatever.
Mhm. And so. And you have to eat like your diet is not, it's not really even, you can't even really just eat healthy. What would be a conventional healthy diet? No, it has to be very specific. Okay.
Yes.
You can't just go like, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating kale and spinach. And you're like, ooh, kale, spinach, and fish will give you gout. Okay. So, and that was, I eat a lot of that. I eat kale like almost every day. I was eating kale.
Yes. But there's
My blood work was awesome.
There's different types of purines, and there's purines that won't affect you like that. And
that's what you claim, but we don't know for sure. I believe you. I just hope my doctors feel the same way.
You believe me? Well, thank
No, you know what it is like.
Yes, I do.
Okay, with the tiny hands again.
Don't be jealous.
So I'm going to tell you this. When it comes to the purines and all that with the gout and the kidney stones, it isn't even one of those things where you can just say, "Hey, I'm eating healthy," like I said, because eating healthy for a normal person, yeah, that's great. But if you're a person that's prone to this crap, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you're eating healthy. It doesn't. So I never really eat a lot of red meat. That was something that was never really a big, and I don't eat a lot of sweets. I'm not a sweet eater, and I'm not a red meat
Which
eater.
is good for me because it's more sweets for me.
Yeah, she is. My brother is. But I was never one of those people. And seeing like Dee says broccoli is bad for me because of hyperthyroid. So my brother has that problem where he can't eat certain vegetables. And
I wish
people
I had that problem. Broccoli is a vile weed.
You don't like broccoli?
Not really.
You eat it sometimes.
Yes, I know, because
Yeah.
you have to.
You usually pawn it off on me. I was wondering. You're always like, "You want some of my broccoli?" And then yeah, you're right. I always end up eating all of it, which is not actually good for gout. But
it's easy to do because you're not paying attention. I just start scraping it onto your plate.
Well, I mean, and then I'm actually a big vegetable eater too. I eat a lot of vegetables. I don't really have a problem with them. I eat vegetables probably every day. Like I said, my blood work was awesome. Like the doctor was like, "You have no."
Oh yeah, your sodium was a little too low.
Too low, but my cholesterol was fantastic,
Yeah.
and my A1C was good. I don't have no health problems, just hypertension. But my doctor says that he thinks a lot of that is caused by stress, and he thinks that the people who are, constantly causing problems in my life. I'm not talking about just these dummies. I'm talking about just
Work-related stuff.
Work-related stuff. People always screwing up clients and stuff, and then
And I don't know what happened to good manners these days, but they'll call up and just right off the bat scream and yell. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing?
It's ridiculous.
You're representing your company and you're not being very good at it.
Then you talk to a guard, and I was like, "Why didn't you write this report?" "I guess I'm lazy." Really? Wow.
Yeah, that was actually a guard's excuse. They literally said
said that. And I was like, "Well, you're going to lazy
guess
yourself
I'm
right out of a
lazy."
job. So you might want to
Guess
get
you're fired.
unlazy." Okay, because otherwise you're not going to have a job. But so yeah, that's a true story. So
DN, sorry, just says my biggest downfall is sweets. Welcome to the tribe.
that's a lot of people's. But let me tell you something, okay? All of that stuff will really get to you, but what will really grab you by the hair is heroin. Just stop. Don't do it. Trust me. Okay, I'm joking.
Oh,
Compared to heroin,
mhm.
kale is good.
Barry, that's I'm sad to hear that. Try a supplement. It's a SAM capital E by Life Extension, and they say that it's better than any prescription medication, and it's just a supplement. So that's my advice for that. Sorry about it.
So if I had time, somebody just said here, let me see. Jules says, Wolf, I'd love to read any kind of list of foods or supplements. Maybe Nelly can make one and post it in one of the groups.
Oh, the health group. I can do that in the
She
health
can
group.
do it in the there's a health group. Go join that. The Paranormal Roundtable health group. I reckon I'm not the only one who's interested in what you do. Yeah. Because I personally don't have time for all this, or I would, and just like when I go to the gym, I'm always pressed for time. I don't have time to sit there and go through my leg routine, my provided routine. I just don't have time. I've tried. It's just right now it is. But go ahead.
I'll what I'll do is in the more you'll go to the Paranormal Roundtable on YouTube where it says more. I'll post links to the health group in there so you can go to it on Facebook. That should make it easier for everyone.
Okay. Let me get this.
Thanks, D.
What happened?
Says he goes, I can help you with that, Nelly. Okay, cool. Look up the health group I have. Awesome, Jules. I'll put it. I'll also put the link in on YouTube for you guys.
So the next story I wanted to tell you guys, and this one, there's a couple, okay, but this one here, I was talking with Anthony about it yesterday, and Nelly, and we were doing our jobs. We were actually all working last night, and this is a crazy one. Okay, so I got a little more information about it. It was not last night; it was the night before. Mm-hmm. It was Friday night. So because yesterday I flushed it out and I got it, this guy, man. Okay. So he's kind of a weird mix too. He's Puerto Rican and Dominican and Swedish. So it takes all kinds, but the guy has a crazy story. His father is from the Dominican Republic and his mother was Puerto Rican his father was Dominican and Swedish. And his mother was Puerto Rican and Irish. So they have a kind of a weird mix. But he ended up going to the Dominican Republic where his dad's dad was from. And so he went there, or not, I'm sorry, his dad's mother was from, would be his grandmother. Right, Anthony? Bless you.
Bless you.
But it would have been his mother, his dad's mother, whatever. So his grandfather used to travel, and he would go to the Caribbean. He had business there, and he bought a piece of property, met his grandmother, and they had his dad. So his dad is a product of a Swedish father and a Dominican woman. And so he goes, I go there to stay with my Dominican grandmother. And he's like, and she's a very sweet woman. She's very, he's like, and I spent a summer there. He's like, I was 22 years old and I went there because I'd gone through a really bad breakup. And I was like, I thought, you know what? I'm going to start over. I'm going to leave. They were living in New Jersey. He's like, I'm going to leave New Jersey and I'm going to go start over. This was years ago. Like he's in his late 30s now. But he said, dude, it didn't work out the way I thought it would. Okay. I said, what? Hold on. You're telling me that going and staying in a third world country for 3 months didn't work out? Are you serious? Because that cures everything. All right. I'm joking. I'm kidding. It would be okay to vacation in, but I don't think I could handle 3 months. But, one of my favorite baseball players, Big Papi, what's his name? Ortiz, got shot just sitting in a bar there. Okay. So David Ortiz, just like, Red Sox legend, great guy. And he is somebody who's done a hell of a lot for the community there, the poor people. And so he goes into this nightclub with his cousin that lives there. And he's like, hey, let's go, clubbing, whatever. And of course, his grandmother, she's very devout religious. She's a Catholic, and she's like, don't do this, don't do that, don't party with these people. These people are bad. There's all these bad people. It's real easy to get in trouble here. His cousin, one of the female cousins, she had told him that too. Her name's Lydia. He didn't listen. He went off with this cousin of his and started partying. He goes, the women were beautiful. And there was kind of a touristy spot. So you would get women from, all over the United States, Europe, South America, all kinds of different women from all over. Okay. So he met this one girl who he thought was just bombastic, fantastic, whatever. And he went into detail about how good she looked. I said, okay, I get it. She's amazing. She's like J-Lo without the human sacrifice. Did I just say that? But anyway,
we've made another list.
We don't know. We don't know what J-Lo did. We don't know what she did or she didn't do. We just know that she hung out with people who were doing things. Okay. Maybe she did do it. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. I don't know. But so anyways, he says, dude, this chick was just unbelievably beautiful. And he was like, I've heard this before. Okay. This story is going to trip you out because it tripped me the hell out and it tripped out my companions over here. When he started dating this girl, it was just like a real hot and heavy fling is what he thought it was. But he goes, dude, I started falling for this girl. He goes, and usually he goes, I'm the one that's like, I'm not going to talk to this girl. I'm not going to answer the phone, whatever. He's like, I was calling and bugging her. He goes, I was like, hey, what's up? You want to go out? And she was like, sure. He goes, and he's like, one night we went out dancing. We barely even spoke. It was like, I picked her up. You ready to go? We're at the club and we're dancing all night. He goes, it was just like that. Next thing you know, we're back at her place and blah, blah, blah. Because I was staying with my grandmother, obviously. And he goes, and then I decided, he goes, I started staying at my cousin's more and more. He had a 2-bedroom apartment and it was nice. It was nice. He goes, this girl would come over with her friends. Her friends looked like models. They were gorgeous. And I was having a great time. I was living la vida loca, and that sounds great until you're actually living la vida loca. Believe me. Okay. It can become a problem. So he said that eventually, got okay. Who is Stephen B here? Shaving my butt cheeks bored, son. Are you serious, dude?
What?
No more comments like that. See, you're a member, so I'm gonna let that one, but no more. Let me get rid of that comment.
I can get rid of it.
I got it.
Okay.
I don't want to hear any more crap. And his name is Steven, so you never know. So he was, enamored with this girl, and it got to the point where there were some issues. It's kind of funny because this actually is something that I'm familiar with. Like she knocked on the door one day after they hadn't talked for a little while. He was kind of trying to keep his distance. He saw her dancing around, hanging out with this other guy who was just this drop dead gorgeous looking dude. And this dude was he's like, look, man, I'm straight. Okay. He's like, I'm a straight dude, whatever. He's trying to convince me, whatever. I'm like, sure you are. You're from New York City. I know you're all weird up there. And he's like, but this dude was really good looking. This guy looked like unnaturally, Well, there's a reason for that. Okay. And I'll tell you, they started dancing and hanging out, and he started noticing that this girl was starting to kind of drift going the other way. And he said, you know what? She's a local. I'm not going to stay here. I'm going back home in September. I don't care. I'm not going to do this. And so he just kind of let it go. And then they hooked up one more time. And then she started with the coming up to the apartment. She's like, I lost my earring.
Oh yeah, the classic leave.
Yeah, that's happened.
Accidentally.
I know how that goes.
Stuff.
So you're like, okay, go get your earring. He goes, she goes in there, comes back out, says, I found it. And he's like, weird. I didn't see anything like that anywhere in the apartment. So he didn't really believe it. He's like, but then get this. He said, I go into the restroom and there is, he goes, and it was almost like he thinks that it was divine, like God or something showed him this. He's like, I look at my brush. I have a hairbrush. He goes, I have very thick, hair,
Mhm.
being that he's part Puerto Rican and Dominican. He's like, I got thick hair and there's hair. It's all gone from my brush,
hell
except for a
no.
little bit. He goes, and my cousin's girlfriend, she's like, no, papi, that's brujeria.
Mhm.
He goes, that bitch probably took your hair. What you
Mhm.
gonna do now? I told you something wrong with her. I seen her at the club. This is what he said. He said her name was Monica. He told her,
You got that neck movement.
I seen you at the club, and her hair, eyes look fake. And he goes, oh yeah, she got a booty, but it probably fake too, And he's over there doing the voice, and I was laughing. So I told him, I said, what do you think was going on here? And he's like, I don't know. I was having these thoughts, what this could be, And he's like, I was thinking, yeah, this is not correct. Why would somebody take my hair? He goes, and it was, over there in the third world, especially in one of these Hispanic countries, these Latin countries, in particular, like these island countries, a lot of that stuff, weird stuff going on. People are very celoso, jealous, And so he said his boy Damon called. He was working at a body shop up in New York. And his buddy, what?
The name.
Damon?
Yeah, it's just getting better for this guy.
That's his best friend. But I didn't think nothing of that, but I guess it's weird. So his friend was Matt Damon, okay?
Oh,
He's like, hey, working on my new movie. What is the movie he was in? Goodwill Hunting Brujas. And it was all weird stuff. And now, so now his friend Damon calls him, and he's like, hey man, he goes, you want to come back to work because we got an opening now, and we're really shorthanded and whatever. So his boss was offering him his job back, and he was like, you know what, I might. He goes, you know what, let me wrap things up here, and then you know what, I'm gonna come home. It was late July. He was planning on staying there till September. He really enjoyed it, but it was time to go. He felt like something was wrong. And he said that at that point, his cousin, had told him, hey, man, he goes, if you're going to leave, he goes, give it a week, think about it. Because he was having a lot of fun. They were having a lot of good times. And he said that at night when he was going to sleep, he was dreaming about this girl.
Mm.
Yeah. And you remember her name, right? Evila.
yes, I was going to say evil.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was so weird. We were kind of floored by the name. And I said, that didn't set off red flags. Like Evila, Evila. I don't know. What is that song? Tequila. I was like, Evila. I don't know. If somebody told me basically their name was evil with an A on the end, I would just be like, really? Or a man, call me Evilo. You seem kind of odd. I don't know why. Yeah, see? Yeah, Evilo. That's what they call me. Keep twisting the end of your mustache, and it's just, I don't know, you look weird. You're wearing a top hat and a cape, and you have devil horns. You're just a superstitious person, see? That's all it is. You're very suspicious for no reason, kid. So this woman, her name, they called her Avila. And so I told him, I said, that wasn't your first clue? I mean, come on, man. But by the way, his name is Palito. Okay. I have permission to say that's his name, Palito. So Palito says, look, he says, I wasn't thinking of anything but how hot she was. You're a guy, you're a young guy. You're not, and I mean, you're not even thinking about that stuff. When you're in your early 20s, you don't care. Okay, you are. If you're a dude, you're a dirty bastard. Don't even try to lie. Don't be looking over at your girlfriend going like, no, I'm different. I'm one in a billion. Yeah, sure you are.
I'm not like the other guys.
Yeah, sure you are.
Every guy is like all the other guys. Don't ever fall for that. I'm like all the other guys.
Even if you were 0.00001% of the population of the earth, that's still 1 million people. So you're telling me there's 1 million guys like you? Bullshit. Okay? Because they're not. Because at that age, I was a dirty bastard. Don't try to lie and say you are. You were that one. You're listening in the car. You're like, really? She did what? I told you that bitch was crazy. Oh, that's crazy. Your day was wow, really? Oh, you didn't find those pumps you were looking for? That sucks. Oh, what happened at Macy's? Oh man. You don't give a crap, okay? You don't care what this woman is saying. You don't care about her brain. To you, her brain is a life support system for her booty. Shut up. Stop acting like that is not you bull crap, okay? So don't judge Pablo. Well, he doesn't like to be called Pablo, but Pablito. Don't judge Pablito for what he is doing because he's a good kid. He was a good kid. He was wild and he was living La Vida Loca, okay?
Cowboys, all I care about your feelings. Seriously.
Yeah, I really care. I care a lot. Okay. Hey, look, a bed. Let's go lay on it and talk about your feelings and stuff. Maybe I'll give you a massage, make you feel better about your day. And
No,
you can tell me about that stupid bitch at the hair salon you work at.
No, I'm really interested in hearing about the sale at Macy's and the coach
Bag.
bags and the one with the V's on them with the LV, like whatever that's called. You tell it. I'm so interested. I want to hear about
so
it.
good. Like, and then whatever she says, you agree with it. You're like, yeah, I like yogurt. She's like, ew, I hate yogurt. Yeah, I know. Oh, it's so bad. I can't stand it, you know. And then if she's into doing things, you know, you're just like, yeah, I don't know, this place sucks. She's like, really? I like doing laundry. Yeah, me too.
It's so
good.
fun.
It's just so good.
Love folding
Really
clothes all day.
Enjoy it, man. The smell of warm summer breeze. It's
And then they go,
totally amazing.
So, what's your favorite laundry detergent? Mine's Gain. Do you like the one with Febreze, or do you like all free and clear? Dudes will do that.
Yeah.
Fall for it. They
And you
don't
know
care.
damn well you don't even know what she's talking
don't
about.
fall for
They
it.
came out with a new type of coach. You're like, really? Is this the yellow one? Is it like Pikachu or? And you're like, she's like, what? Oh, never mind. I'm joking. I'm talking about Pokemon because I'm just messing with you. Them jokes. You know what the hell you're talking about. You're just trying to do whatever you are. Con artists. Get out of here. The guys are like up there mad. They're like, oh, he's giving away our secrets.
Ridge Runner.
Not a secret.
Baby, I'm
Once a
here for
woman's
you.
22, 23, she's gonna figure this shit out. Believe me, she's not that stupid. If she's still doing that, she a hoe. That's it. She's just gonna be like, hey, I like this. I like when men lie and flatter and whatever. And so what? That's what they want to do. That's what they want to be. Back to the story. So he was with this girl, Evila, okay, which I thought was what she called herself. Okay, no BS. No mentiras. And so she ended up coming by the apartment a few times. And then he said, dude, I couldn't resist. And then she told me one day, she's like, hey, come on, let's go back to mine. And he just did it. His friends were telling him, his cousin was telling him, no, he did it. And he ends up back over to her place. And then what ended up happening, he meets a couple of her cousins, her associates. These are guys. He said they were all like really handsome looking, you know, well-built guys, you know, that looked like they were real slim and trim and all they did was work out, you know.
Mhm.
And they went to the club together and they did fun things. They had fun, whatever. He's like, and then after them having relations one night, she tells him, she's like, look, he's like, I'm going to tell you something. She goes, I need you to listen to me very carefully. She's like, I want you. And he's like, well, yeah, baby, I want you too. She goes, no, I want you. I want you to be a part of my family. And he's like, come again? She's like, you know, like he's like husband and wife want you because I'm not that not really. I don't really want to do that. It's not my thing. And she's like, no, it's deeper than that. She goes, I want you. She's like, and I'm telling you right now, she's like, if you don't, she's like, my people, because I have to choose somebody, you know. She's like, if you don't do this, you know, then there's going to be problems. And he's like, what are you talking about? She goes, you're going to have to listen to me. At this point, this guy comes into the room. Okay, he's dressed all in black. And you can see another guy out in the hallway, and he's like, what the heck is going on here? And she's like, you need to make me pregnant. Okay. You imagine you're like 22, whatever. You're just like living your life and you're like, I am in a third world country. I'm falling for this girl. And now she's demanding that I make her pregnant. And he's like, what is this, Rosemary's Baby? That's my joke, but and yeah, that's what she said. She's pretty much, yeah, that's what you need to do. And he was like, how is this supposed to work exactly? And because I don't want to do this. And she's like, if you don't, there's going to be problems. And he goes, can I leave? And then I'll think about it. And she's like, well, we're not holding you here. So she let him get up and walk out. He goes, I walked by these people, dude. And he goes, I should have noticed something was off at that point. He goes, when I walked by, he's like, I felt this heat coming off of one of them, the one that was in the bedroom, and he smelled like sulfur, like burning brimstone or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you kidding me? He says, no. Over the coming days, he began to see these people in his dreams. He began to have and so he kind of withdrew. He went back to his grandmother's house, and he was staying there, kind of laying low. He goes, and then my grandmother, she goes to church twice a day on Sundays. And he goes, sometimes she'll go to mass. They have like a Friday mass up there. I don't know, the Dominican church, whatever. He said, I'm sitting there on a Friday night. He goes, and I get this bang, 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 knock on the door. I like the way he talks. It's funny the way he talks. And he's like, I'm like, oh no, what is that? He goes, I'm thinking this crazy woman, she's at the door now. I'm going to have to deal with this woman. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably what it was. But no, he looks out at the people, and there's a guy standing there kind of pacing back and forth nervously. He goes, and there's another one standing there. He goes, and I open the door, and he goes, yes. And he goes, Evila wants you to come to the car. She's sitting in the car. He goes, well, he gets kind of snide with him. He says, well, tell Vila to get her ass over here, and she can talk to me herself. Who the hell are you? He said he starts to get kind of an attitude with him. And he goes, when he had the door partway open, the guy pulled on the door. He goes, I kind of pulled back. He yanked the door so hard that I went flying forward, and the other guy grabbed me by my shirt. He's like, at this point, the moment of truth was right there. He goes, this is when I knew that I had to get my life right with God. I said, it didn't happen before that? Whatever. The guy lifts him up with one hand, just kind of holds him there and looks at him and says, do you think this is a request? I'm trying to be nice. He's like, if it was up to me, I would kill and eat you. The guy puts him down and then says, go to the car. And he's like, holy crap. He goes, I'm in my chonies. He's like, I'm like, can I put on some pantalones, or something? And they were like, no, just walk over there in your underwear. He said, these people are driving around in like nice cars, and nobody's messing with these people, right? This is a place where you get carjacked if you have a Toyota Corolla, right? He's like, and I'm walking down, and he goes, I could see some of my neighbors looking out. They did not mess with these people. It's like brujo mafia or something, to me. So he goes and gets in the car, and she's like, look, I tried to be nice. She's like, and now I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. She's like, you're going to stay here until we leave. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, you're going to stay here, and then we're going to leave, and we're going to get on a plane, and we're going to go to Switzerland. And he's like, I'm not going to Switzerland. I don't even know where that's at. He goes, I was a dumb kid back then. He's like, I thought Switzerland was like somewhere in Arkansas. Like, I started laughing because when I was 22, I was not that dumb. I'm just saying, but I mean, he's a good looking guy, and he's probably, he was a superficial, by his own admission, he was a superficial guy. He didn't know shit. He goes, I know a lot now because he watches PRT. That's why. No, but seriously, he's learned a lot over the years, and because he dealt with. He goes, Wolf, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I could hear him chain smoking while we were talking. Stop smoking; it's really bad for you. But he said, very nervously, he says, "Dude, let me tell you something." He goes, "I saw the devil. I saw the effing devil." He goes, "These people are like the devil." He goes, "This is where the stories." This is him talking, not me. He said, this is where the stories of Diablito come from. He goes, these were Diablos. He goes, they're like beings, like they can take the form of people. He goes, and this part right here makes my hair stand up. he's in the back seat of this car. And it's like a nice, like Mercedes, like, he said the guy driving turns around and says, in Spanish, okay, I'm not going to say it in Spanish, but he goes, look, pendejo, do you think this is a request? He goes, this guy right here on above his brow ridge, he had these nodules that popped up and became little horns.
He saw them form?
Yes.
Ooh.
No, it was already formed.
Oh, okay.
He's like, his cheekbones were real gaunt and, and his face was kind of sucked in and he had these teeth. And he goes, they looked like if you took a devil mask and you put it on your face, but without the beard or whatever. He goes, that's what he looked like. He's like, and he had this real deep voice and it sounded satanic like that, like real deep. Like I can mimic a lot of voices. But he says he turned around and he goes, look, this is not a request. He said, you're going to do this and you're going to get on a plane and go to Switzerland with us. You will impregnate her. Now. That is how he talked to this guy. He kind of made a joke at that point, and I was kind of glad because of that. You can see my hair standing up at that point. He was like, he goes, you ever seen that movie? He goes, he couldn't remember the name of it, but I did. He goes, you remember when Marlon Wayans was like, he was screaming?
Yeah.
And I said, dude, you're talking about Don't Be a Menace to South Central. And she's like, you're nasty. And they get in that scene. I had to go look it back up, right? And he's like, nah, baby, he's like talking to her. And then she gets all crazy and starts moving her head, turns into the Exorcist. And then she's like, oh no, motherfucker, you ain't going nowhere. And he's like, you see the baby like bouncing around and he's trying to crawl away. Basically what happened, he goes, I screamed like a girl. I backed up and was like, and I look over at her and she's like sitting there and her tongue is like hanging down and goes back up into her mouth. And her face is like, like this devil mask looking face. And they're covered in scales. He's like, what in the hell are these people? What in the hell are these beings? What is this? He goes, I try to open the door and the door handle's hot. And he's like, and I'm thinking, I am literally right here in the midst of evil. These are devils. These are demons. These are some kind of monsters. And he goes, dude, never in a million years would I have thought this existed. He's like, they let me go. He goes, for 2 days, I just sat in my grandmother's house. He goes, finally, my mother called. She's like, hey, mijo, how's it going over there? And he's like, honestly, Mom, he goes, I want to come home. She's like, well, why don't you? He's like, I got a few things here. There's this girl that I've been seeing. And he lied. But she was worried, right? So after a couple more days, his uncle flies in. Now his uncle, Antonio, he is not a normal guy. The way you could describe this dude, and the way that he described him to me, he's kind of like if you took Al Pacino, and Scarface, and mixed him with like Constantine, kind of like that. He was a former gangster turned into a street corner preacher who ended up starting an outreach program for people to get away from gangs and violence and drugs. He was a real tough OG and was not somebody to be messed with. And he goes, I owe everything first to God. And this is what he told me. My faith in Christ saved me. He goes, I went to church with my grandmother that Sunday. He's like, I got on my knees and I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And there was a priest there, Padre Piel, who he helped me. He was a Dominican friar. And he says, look, let me tell you something. He goes, you need to get yourself right with God. And he's like, I want to tell you what's going on. He did a confession. He told this priest, he took a chance, he trusted him, and he said, look, I saw these people, they look like the devil. And he goes, this guy didn't bat an eye. He didn't go, oh man, that's crazy, man. Or call him a mentiroso, like a liar, whatever. No, he just said, he goes, yeah. Yep. He goes, they practice brujeria. He goes, they're not even originally from here. He's like, they're not from here. And he goes, well, what country are they from? He goes, no, they're not from a country. He's like, these people, these things, whatever you want to call them, he goes, they're not humans. He's like, they want to take you somewhere because they have these temples where they can change you into what they want to change you into. That's what he told him. He said, and what's going to happen is you're going to belong to them. And he's like, and you'll be like a slave. He goes, they need you to breed with them so that they can become more human, so they can blend in more. He's like, they come from another realm, like another place. He said, some people call them demons, some people call them aliens. He goes, I don't know what they are. They're evil. He's like, they can't come into the church. They're completely on the other side. Their polarity is completely, that's my words. But the way he made it described, it was, so he's safe in the church. He goes, dude, I stayed there until Monday morning. He's like, and that's when my mother called. And he goes, and I told her, well, he goes, by Tuesday, my uncle was on a plane. She sent my uncle, Antonio, to come get me. She's like, he gets off the plane. He's like, and he's got this whole bag with him. Funny because we talked about this. The Saint Benedict, he had these Saint Benedicts that were blessed. He had holy water. This guy had everything you could think of. And he told him, he goes, where are these beings at? He goes, they'll come to us, believe me. He goes, so he gets a knock on the door at his cousin's house after he had just gone over there with his uncle. And there are 3 of them in the hallway. And he goes, I've seen these guys with their normal faces, looking normal, very handsome, at the club, looking like normal beings. He goes, but then he goes, now they're looking like their faces look like distorted. They don't look wholly demonic like they were the one day. He's like, but they look bigger. Their faces look pooched out and deformed. He's like, and my uncle just stands right there in front of him and tells him, he's like, you're not going to touch my nephew. I'm taking him back to New York. You're not going to mess with him. That, and they kind of surrounded him. There were 3 of them. And he goes, the main one, he said, we'll see. He's like, do you think you're going to stop us? Do you think you're going to stop us? We'll take you with us. And so at that point, he goes, they had a plane ticket to get in whatever. And he even told his cousin, he says, look, you need to get out of this place. They know where you're at. They're going to mess with you. They were sending death threats. There was all kinds of stuff happening, messages and stuff. His grandmother was in danger. So Antonio, a place where she had been living for years, he had to literally force her, look, we're getting on a plane and we're leaving. After she had a talk with her priest, he convinced her. He says, look, you need to do this. If you don't do this, you will die. So she listened to the priest. So she gathered up her things of what she didn't have a whole lot. She lived pretty meagerly. And he said that they all went to leave to get on the plane. He goes, and we stayed at a hotel that night. He's like, and sure enough, he goes, my uncle goes out into the hallway under the pretense of I'm going to get some ice. It's not really what was going on. He goes, and I walk out there. He goes, and I see one of these beings, these devil-faced looking beings. He goes, there's nobody around. He's like, and it's going up the wall with its back up against the wall, and it's sliding upwards. He's like, and my uncle's got a cross out, and he's screaming at it and yelling at it, and he's speaking in Latin. He's like, and I don't understand what the hell he's saying. He goes, and then there's another one that's on the ground, and it's writhing around, crawling. He goes, and it looked like drops of like gray something was coming off of its body. And it was like smoking and making this weird popping noise, like sizzling bacon. He's like, and then my uncle,
I said, yeah.
He goes, then my uncle comes back into the room and says, and he's put a chair up against the door and he stood there by that chair, like with his knee on the door for like an hour. And then he goes, and then he finally sat there. He goes, we didn't sleep. He's like, but then the morning came We hear them out in the hallway making noise, making threats, banging on the door. He goes, we tried calling the police. Nobody came. We called the front desk. Nobody. He goes, my uncle told me, he's like, quit trying. He goes, you're not going to get any help. And then the next day comes, he goes, and we all go and we get on the plane and we leave. He said, once we got back to northern New Jersey, he's like, and I got my job back in the city. He's like, and I started going back to my life. He said, my uncle said in a week or so, meet me at the church. So they met at this Irish Catholic church. And he says, we sit there and we're talking to one of the priests. And this guy's actually from Belfast. And he's a Catholic priest who's been through hell because of the war with the British and, you know, the Northern Irish thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And he says, let me tell you something. He goes, when I was in Ireland, he's like, there were people that were sent. This is what he said. There were people that were sent to us by the British. They worked for the British government. They were not human. He goes, the same exact description of what you talked about. He goes, they took some of our people. He goes, and they flayed them. And they hung them from these buildings. He's like, this guy was old. He was 82 years old. And he was pretty semi-retired priest, whatever. And he says, and then he had been working with his uncle, Anthony, or Tony, whatever, for years. He's like, and so his uncle told him about my show. So I thought that was pretty cool. But, and so thank you. Shout out to you, Antonio, for actually turning him on to PRT, because we talk about some of these things that other people don't. Now, I've been threatened many times. I've been told that I'm being watched by all these different types of denizens of the dark, not just the bumbling morons from the woods or whatever they're from. I don't give a shit about them. I'm talking about these people. Since we've talked about the vampire cults, the lycanthropic camps, you know, and stuff, and then all of these different types of beings, I've been threatened left and right. But I say this, my life is not for you to give or take. You understand that? Because I answer to the Most High. And I always have, and I always will. I gave my life to Christ when I wasn't even 6 years old. And I never looked back. Now, I've been on a journey to find the true God, the Father of Christ. And I know in my heart that I am on the right path and that I found it. And I'm sorry that some people don't understand that these books are not all correct and that the translations aren't what you think they are, especially when they're written in other languages and you're transferring it to English. And I've argued with Muslims about that. I'm like, how does that translate to Chinese or English? It doesn't. But I have no doubt in my mind that what I'm doing is putting the information out there so that people can learn the truth about what's really out there. Now, what these beings are, and if you're one of them, you know who you are, you know, I don't know what you are. Now, I would be lying if I said I don't care what you are, because I do, because I know you're the enemy, you're the adversary. Some people said the Shadim, some people said the Shaitan. You are an amalgamation, or a chimera, basically, of angelic and human interbreeding or DNA splicing. Either way, you're not fully one or the other. Was that your back? Jeez. Yeah. You see a chiropractor. But you're not fully human, and you are part demon. That's what you are. Now, they've made shows about these things. They've made movies about these things, and it's like a big joke. That is the joke. They think that they've played on everybody, that nobody's going to believe some crackpot behind a microphone on YouTube. And the people that come to me, this young guy, well, he's not as young anymore, but he's younger than me. Palito is not he is still to this day terrified of these people. And his uncle passed away a couple of years ago. And I told him, I said, did you become fearful after he passed away? And he said, yes. And I said, that's not the way it's supposed to be. I felt like there were certain people in my life that were there. And if they passed away, I don't know how I would move on. I don't know how I would survive. The God that I serve, the Father of Christ, always provides for us, always comes through for us. I said, he gave you a heart that beats strong. He gave you a brain, a mind. I was like, you're a father. You have children. I was like, you cannot live your life in fear. I said, have you ran into these people? He goes, I don't go to clubs. I don't do any of that. He's like, one night. He goes, I went out to a dance club one time. And everywhere I looked, I thought I was seeing them. And I said, you might have been. Because those are, I'm not knocking people for going out clubbing and things like that. I'm just saying that those are the kind of places that breed these kind of evil people. Why do you think that when I told you the story about what probably, I'd say 100% now. At the time, I was like, I don't know for sure, but I believe it was a reptilian that I encountered, a real type of reptilian, a hybrid. Physically had an altercation with this guy. And his friend I didn't fight with his friend, but his friend. Yeah. These beings, they flourish in places like this. Inebriation, intoxication, you get high. And there's no way to know who or what you're dealing with. Somebody can smile and laugh with you like the friendly assassin, and you wouldn't even know it before they slit your throat or cut your belly open. I've seen some of the worst things you can possibly imagine in those clubs, the things that people do to one another. Iniquity flourishes in those places. So stay out of them. That's my advice to you. And Pablo, he don't want to be called Pablo, but I'm going to call you that anyway. But I'm going to tell you something. I hope that for the rest of your uncle's life, you lived in gratitude to him. I hope you were nice to him, and I hope you did everything you could for him. His uncle made a lot of money. Years ago, he was a gangster, made a lot of money, did a lot of crap. He gave all of his money away. And when he died, he didn't have a penny to his name. He lived in a meager apartment, but for the rest of his life, he battled evil. His uncle told him that he believed in werewolves, he believed in vampires, he believed in Bigfoot and all this other stuff. And I was fortunate enough to have actually gotten an email from him. When I went back and looked, I found it. And I didn't know who it was, but I never corresponded with him. So I wish I would have. That's on me. There's too much. I have too much going on. Even as we speak, there could be very important people trying to get a hold of me, and I can't even get to time to turn around and whatever. And it doesn't help that you're always having to fight maniacs that are coming at you. Those people that are doing those things too, make no mistake, they are absolute agents of the Kali Yuga. They are being pushed on up people, not just like me, but a lot of people in this world. They're like, kamikaze automatons. They can't even tell you why they do what they do. Because anybody that has any sense at all can see that there is evil out there and we're trying to expose it. And if you're trying to trip us up from doing that, think about what you're doing. Think about it. Is that righteousness? Is that good? Are you a good guy when you're trying to stop us from exposing what's out there? Or are you just being completely selfish and all you care about is what your vendetta? And why do you even have that vendetta? Do you know? Are you being led around by the darkness? Because, folks, the devil is real, and he came to kill, steal, and destroy, and this is what he's doing. And there are actual beings that will walk around, his descendants, on earthly feet. I kid you not. And what this young man encountered over there in the Dominican Republic, they flourish in places like that. You want to know why they wanted to take him to Switzerland? You want to know what I told him, what my opinion is?
Because that's where Geneva is.
Geneva.
Seat of Satan.
The seat of Satan. That's where Antipas was put
Temple
to
of
death.
Apollo.
Temple of Apollo. So what I have been able to uncover from talking to multiple people, my friend Morgana, who's living in Egypt right now, I got a mummy story for you too. This is creepy. It's very creepy.
Key the mummy music.
They're not going to be able to hear him.
I'm joking.
I was going to say, I don't know. I could sing it for you. Entombed for you.
Mhm.
I don't want to make people be too focused on my beautiful singing voice, folks. I don't want to take anything away from the artists. Okay.
Yes.
And no, it's not AI. We don't use AI. Okay. A lot of douchebags are, but we don't. The only thing is the thumbnails. That's it. We don't do that. It's not AI lyrics, not AI music. So these beings, from what I was told, I talked to a friend of mine, and she's very intuitive with this kind of stuff, and she got me in touch with another person, who I can't say her name. She doesn't want me to, and that's fine. But she's working down in South America. What Morgana says is that these beings are an ancient race that they've been around for a long time. And yes, they have infiltrated humankind and they breed with humans. They are sort of an offshoot of a draconian reptilian, but they're mixed with another type of hybrid. And what that is, she couldn't tell me, but she knows that they're like the unholy mingling of two different types of Nephilim. So what they do, though, they are a race of infiltrators, and they get people and they use them for procreation, whatever, and they enslave them and they take them to the underground temple or temples to be used. Now, going back to my friend Colt, he had said something very similar to that, like what happened to him. Depending on how useful you are, you'll breed, and once you've done your job, then they'll kill and eat you. Sounds wonderful.
Mhm.
Now, do you remember when us three, we had to talk about this story? Do you remember his blood type?
Oh,
Yes,
negative.
Type O negative.
I asked him, I said, what is your blood type? And he told me. And I said, okay. That would explain the breeding purposes. Because he is, on both sides, mom and dad, half Latin, Hispanic, whatever, and he's half, Northern European on both sides. So he's got that RH.
RH negative. Jules says that.
Yeah, it's interesting too. If you see the guy, he's got striking green eyes. And he's a good-looking guy, and so they chose you to be. But a lot of people claim that green eyes are a holdover from a reptilian way back down. I'm not saying I believe that. That's just what some people say. Now, I did date a girl who had green eyes, and she was hotter than the sun, but she was evil as all hell. So maybe the green eyes, yeah, it's evil. I believe it. That's cool. Yeah, I'm joking. People with green eyes now going, hey.
Green eyes, I think.
I'm just
that's my
saying, if you
favorite
look-
eye color.
Huh?
A green eye is my favorite eye color.
It's a very rare. It's more rare than blue, and blue is very rare. I think less than 6% of the population have blue eyes or something
Wow,
like
look.
that.
We got
Two
three
people
green
that
eyed
have-
people here.
Yeah.
Well, that's why y'all are watching, because you all got that evil bloodline in you. You're over here trying to figure out what I'm saying about you.
They're like
Huh?
deleting
See?
blog.
Bunch of devils.
Who gave you them green eyes?
Oh, look, a lot of them have green
Hmm?
eyes.
I can't do the church lady skit because people in the
Four
chat
people
probably
with
don't
green
even
eyes.
remember the.
You guys
the
are
church lady.
lucky.
They
I think
probably don't
Jane
even
is
know what
great
remember the
actress,
church
too.
lady from Saturday Night Live? Probably don't even remember.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
Dana Carvey.
Yes.
He do the little dance like, who gave you those green eyes? Was it Satan? Yeah, but that's probably right. I'm joking. I'm kidding. I just had a bad experience
I
with a
know
couple
you're
girls that
joking.
had green eyes, and they were pretty damn evil. Okay.
Green Eyes
The
Gang.
Green Eyes Gang. There you go.
Better than Black Eyed Children Gang.
So here's what ends up happening, and so oftentimes works out for PRT. When I talk to my friend in Egypt, and I've talked to her before, she herself is not an archaeologist. She works as an assistant, but she is a linguist and also deciphers hieroglyphs and all kinds of other cool stuff. And she told me, and she's actually Berber. I don't know if you know what that is. And what is Berber? Do you know what that is? What that is someone who was born in northern Africa. They are the original inhabitants. They are the natives. They are not Arab. But during the Arab invasion, they intermingled. Some of them did, and they were well. They didn't have a choice. Islam was forced on them. But anyways, she told me, she's like, I have a story if you want to hear it, and it's mummy curse type story. Now, here's what happens in Egypt. There was an entire trade that was going on in Egypt at one time. They were taking mummies and they were disinterring the bodies, and they were selling bits and pieces for all kinds of stuff. Some people claim that they were using them for potions and powders and whatnot, but I say that they weren't really. I said that's bullshit, because I don't believe that they were really using the mummies for that. I think they would just take any old kind of powder or dust and just say it was that.
Yeah.
Because why would? Because you're in the 1880s, right? And let's say you're in London. Let's just say you're in London in the 1880s, and you're like, "I mate, I need something for my itch down there. You got some mummy powder?" And you're like, you need some mummy powder, eh? Oh, you know what? I just so happens that I got some in the back. I'll be right back. And imagine really bad teeth. And then they go to the back and they're like, dumbass. This dumbass. I'm going to put this stupid bastard and put some snot in there and some hair and just mix it all together and give this guy with the itch some mummy powder. All right. So you go back to the front. Oh, here you go. Mummy powder. Good as gold. Pay me. Like, thanks, mate. I didn't know what I was going to do. I went laying with the ladies in the red light district. My wife is kind of worried. Got something going on. Maybe it's ringworm. I'm sure whatever's in the mummy powder will cure it. Make you right. Okay, goodbye. You're like sucker born every minute. You know what? I need to start marketing this mummy powder. I think I'm going to have some more dumb blokes come here. Seeing as how I'm right next to this red light district, I'll have the guy with the big knives and stop cutting the ladies up. It is 1880s London. Yeah. That's when Aaron Kosminski comes in. I am now, due to the Mandela effect, not a kosher butcher. I'm a kosher barber. I cut Jewish hair. That's what we do. And I require mummy powder to become a better butcher barber. Oh, okay. What do you need? Something that can make me invisible when I'm cutting people's hair. Hair. When I cut their hair. Do you have a potion like that, my man? Oh, I have some right in the back. Oh, let me go get it. He comes back and he's like, good. This is what I need. I appreciate that. I do. Now I'll be about my cutting. No one will know it's me. Except for DNA testing will prove it's me, and then later on they'll say it's not because of politically correct reasons. Goodbye. Now, that skit was brought to you by a delicious mummy powder drink that Nelly makes for me. We are now distributing and marketing this in 42 neighborhoods. Joking, folks. It's joke. Them's jokes. Them's jokes. Remember jokes back before Biden? Remember the jokes? We used to have jokes. All right. We used to have jokes back in them jokes, and and now it's like you can't have jokes. You can't have jokes. You might offend someone. That's the whole point of a joke. Was to defend the shit out of everyone. You offended people. That's what you did.
They call it mummy yummy.
Yummy mummy, it's so good for your tummy, and you'll probably get a curse. Yeah, probably. That's probably what's going to happen. Roxy W has a good question. Between Dogman and Reptilian, who would win a fight? Depends on the Dogman, depends on the Reptilian.
I'd say the Reptilian because they're stronger.
We have
Like,
no,
no?
not necessarily, because that's a bestial thing coming out. But I'm going to tell you this. We had a weird story that we haven't gotten into, but we are going to. And I'm going to say this. I don't want to give it away. Because I still need to flesh it out. But this guy, he was walking down, at night. And now knowing what I know, I'm not going to do this shit. Okay. And his name is Jared. And I told him, I said, Jared, that was very stupid. You probably should not have been walking down a dimly lit trail bordering a green belt. But he saw what looked like one partially like a man looking. Okay. How would you describe it? Like someone who was in mid-transformation, possibly?
Mid-transformation.
Being chewed on by a full-on werewolf.
Oh.
Yeah. His name's Jared. I mean, it was a crazy story. His wife, which is probably a good thing. She's native and she's full on superstitious and was like, you're not talking about it, whatever. So I'm still trying to get the.
Do you think they were there together and they might?
Because all I have right now is an email.
Argument and then...
all I have is an email. He goes, "You want to hear a story?"
Yes, we do.
Yeah. But then he messages me back and says, "My wife is determined for me not to tell it because she thinks it's her belief that it's a type of shape-shifting, evil."
But we want to know. Please ask your wife again.
But there's people that would argue that that's like, okay, so that's a Dogman and it was killing a werewolf. Like there's two different things. Like I don't believe that. I believe there's like 100 different things, but they're all the same. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, does that make sense at all? Because to me, that's what I think is going on. I think there's a lot of it. So, I don't know. Chris Anderson. Yeah, stumbled upon Dogman on Dogman crime. Is it crime? I mean, you interview the Dogman and it goes like this. You're like, excuse me. Did you know at the time that you were killing your own? He's like, that's pretty much how it would go. Because the Dogman, he ain't talking. You interview a werewolf and he's like, yes, I knew this man offended me. So I changed into a hideous beast. And before he could change, I ate his shoulder and his buttocks. Much more refined. Who the hell? I don't know.
Dogman court.
Yeah, you go into Dogman court. It's just a bunch of barking, howling, and jumping around.
Smells like wet dog.
Peeing all over everything.
Yes, Robert. Exactly. Yep. Cold Steel. I have one of those. Yeah, dude, that's a good one.
Cold Steel.
Dick Richards. Yeah, Cold Steel makes those like they're literally like some of them fold like they're like pocket swords. I'm not joking. He's not joking. Got one like that, the handle, and it flips out. Used to be illegal years ago, but now it's like whatever. And now they're legal.
Huh. That's cool.
So what happened was Morgana, she tells me, she says, I was working in Cairo at the time. And I'm going to give you I can't tell the whole story here. This is an hour this is something we should put on the podcast, an hour long,
Yeah.
And then we have another Bigfoot story from another guy. Don't quote me, but I think his name is Brandon. I need to tell his story, or Brendan. That's another one I need to flesh out. But, and then Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to drop the episode
It's Wednesdays for the live for the pre-record.
Pre-record,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
Wednesdays.
that's the angel one. So, and also we were thinking about doing a live midweek because here's what I was thinking. I don't know if you guys would like this or not, but Fridays we're having guests. We had a great conversation with Monica Rollins and Chris Garitano on Friday. Check out Friday's show if you haven't listened or heard. You got to go back and listen.
It was good.
It was a good show. We got into some stuff. Although Garitano was just determined to try to make me go into the VR headset world. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to do that. He goes, you got to do this. You got to try this. It's better than crack. I'm like, better than crack? I've never tried crack, but maybe I should. I don't know.
I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that. I feel like I'm from Oklahoma. Nah, because not everybody from Oklahoma is a Sooner fan. Come on. But, it's if you look at, our schedule, we're trying to balance between work and doing all this other stuff. But I'm behind because we were gone for 5.5 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever. And so we had a bunch of people still giving us stuff. And now we have this kind of backlog. And Anthony was like, we've filled up the email twice. Probably need to start getting these stories out and getting people's encounters out, and so another thing too, I'm going to be recording with a guy that you've probably heard of him. He's been on the live stream, but he's never, and we're going to tell some other stories from that same place, the Manistee National Forest. And we need to tell the encounters that happened to this guy. Okay. He killed a dogman. Okay. But he doesn't know what it was because they said it was an asset. And he's going to come on and we're going to do it for the pre-record for the Spotify people. And he's going to get into some other things that have happened to him because, he's always said he had other encounters, but he never gets to tell those because everybody wants to hear the same one. So we'll recap that and then we're going to go into some other details. And then, of course, Monica Rollins is going to tell her story, what happened to her with what she thinks was a werewolf. And she's going to talk about it on the pre-record. And so that's going to happen too. So I have something for you. We don't have much time, like I said. So
That's a good idea, Anderson.
the mummy story will have to wait. We'll have to do that one because it's wild. It's crazy. And I've always said that those mummies from, whether they're from Peru or whether they're Mayan or Egyptian, whatever, don't mess with them because they when they do the embalming of these beings, you know what they do? They wrap them in magic. They do.
Oh.
And it's like when you walk into these tombs, it's like, hey, don't screw around, bad stuff. And people are like, huh, well, it's a good thing I can't read that. And they just start messing around. Oh, mess around on that. And then you're like, curse. And you're like, oh, shucks. Maybe this was a bad freaking idea. And then when people talk about it, they don't talk about the cursing and all this. They're just like, wow, his head fell off, but that's because he had malaria. And you're like, I don't think that's how it works. I think maybe he disturbed something evil. You've been watching too many movies. This is Universal Studios shit you've been looking at. That's just crazy. That stuff don't really exist. Right? The wolf man with the David Crockett head and all that. David Crockett hat. That's what he looks like he's wearing. The invisible man that looks like nothing. This isn't Universal Studios, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, it's been soft disclosure for a long time. But I have a guy here. So, okay, so there's a group called Werewolf Magic. All right, and the guy sent to me. I've asked him for permission. He didn't answer the question. I asked him if I could use the clips of his talking about being a werewolf, and he has not agreed. But there's an actual group, and this guy actually is trying to get people to go and join this group who are interested in learning how to actually use lycanthropy.
What?
I'm not kidding. You want to see it?
No.
You don't want me to?
No, I mean I want to see it, but just say no to lycanthropy.
Yeah, say no to it. But let me show you. It's right here. It's nuts.
Whoa.
And this guy's like wanting to do like seminars and crap. Look it up. It's crazy, dude. I mean, it's just. Dick Richards. The cold steel serrated Marauder buoy is a cleaver as well. I don't have that one. The serrated Thompson Voyager from I've seen that one is the best cutting and stabbing blade available according to the test, or according to what you've done. How do we know you haven't used it? He had a kukri. I had a kukri. I had a real one. Like I still do. I mean, it's like old. It's from like World War I. Old. So we got 600 people in the chat. Darn, our numbers are down from last Sunday when we had 720. They're steadily dropping.
Where'd everyone go?
Pretty soon we'll just be off into space, just dust. It's so bad. Can I have a drink?
Oh yes,
Is there another one in there?
there it is. Do
I
you want
have
a
one?
fresh one?
Can I have one?
Yeah, it's right over there. I'm just kidding.
Well, thanks. But no, I mean, I'll take the red one. The interesting thing is that we have been, like today we had 600 and however many people in there, whatever. Our numbers have been going back up, and and our sub count has been going back up. It's been climbing. And so what we need to do something for the Patreon. So we have a lot of suggestions. So we're going to have a Patreon meeting, and we're going to set up a day and a time. It's going to be later in the month. And one of the things we're going to do is probably, in order to join, to hear my what's it called? We're going to record me talking at the symposium, and then we're going to play that for the Patreon people. Okay, so to join Patreon is the only way you're going to get a copy of that. And then we're going to have we're going to get these tumblers made. Wait till you see these things. It's going to be incredible. And those are going to be for anybody who is a Patreon member. And so you're going to want to join the Patreon, believe me. So put the link to the Patreon folks up there. Yeah, Lawrence says Burmese people. Burma people. So, anyways, we're going to get into. There's a Bigfoot story that we need to get into. This, I'll give you a little teaser on it. It was pretty crazy, dude. This guy's wife was sitting there at the kitchen window, and this thing was staring at her for like a while. Like it was watching her. I might have talked about it a little bit on the show, but dude, it was more. I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on with this thing. And it was not just a purely flesh and blood creature like people think, no, they could hear it sometimes and not see it. I mean, it was crazy, really crazy. It was sad too. It did some horrible things to their animals, but anyways, that's coming out. And then we got the mummy one that's coming out, because I don't know what else to call it. You mess with stuff that you shouldn't be messing with, They wrap these things in curses, and then you go and you play around with them, and it becomes a whole. But it's 11:16 p.m. here, and we got a little bit of a late start, so I think that the lower sub count from last Sunday is probably we got started late, because a lot of people were messaging me saying, "Where are you at?" Blah blah blah, and that's fine. You guys can watch the replay. Do us a favor. If you don't have YouTube, what's it called? Where you don't have the commercials?
Premium.
If you don't have YouTube Premium, I know this is going to sound like a lot to ask, but if the commercials play on the show, if you don't mind, could you watch some of them? I mean, depending upon how I don't know what they are. I don't really rewatch my shows, but if they're just something so stupid you can't handle, you're like, I don't know, whatever, you know. But if you could just let them play, because that helps us immensely. So if you're watching a replay of the show, or if you're watching this now, please give us the view on the commercials, because it helps us, because we aren't getting a lot of donations anymore. And I know people are, I'm not asking, people are broke. I get it. So the people that donated, greatly appreciated. I understand that. But what you can do is give us views, watch the commercials. So if you watch the commercials, that will actually help us, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just watch the commercials and give us a like, and tell your family, friends, whatever about us. I would never have gotten that story without this guy's uncle, actually. So yeah, well, yeah, Chris, I don't blame you on that one during the election. Come on, but if the election's over, so if the commercial is just not too terrible, I mean, I don't know what you have against Snuggle fabric softener or whatever they I don't know what they're playing, but if you just hate the little bear, you're like, I just can't stand him, I don't want to be, that's fine, whatever. But if you can find it in your heart to watch the commercials, that helps immensely with us, and the algorithms too, it just helps, so if you watch the show and you miss something, you want to replay it, that helps if you could do that. It's up to you. If you can't, you can't. But I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. And it helps the show, like I said. Thank you, Franco, for that. He said, God bless you all. God bless you. God bless everybody. So, like I said, that's coming up. We got the mummy thing coming up. We're gonna talk about that one. There's another one though that we needed to get on too, and we had debated about doing it. It's not. We did the vampires of Mexico, but there's another one. There's two of them. One of them is about chemizats, and so if you want to know more about chemizats and what we're going to talk about on the pre-record, go back and listen to the show with Monica and Chris. Okay. Because we did that show on last Friday. Wasn't it Friday? Day before yesterday?
Yeah.
So you can go and you can learn about that, and we're going to talk about that. It's kind of weird because like that one of the guys from that story was in New York City too. Weird, but anyways, go and talk. Whatever. Got to change the name of some of these people because they don't want their name out there or whatever, and that's fine. So it might have a different name or whatever, but just I'm going to tell you right now, if you have a story and some of the people out there are worried about this and you're afraid of us giving out your name or your information, whatever, you can be anonymous. Okay. You can be anonymous. You can give us your story and we can retell your name. We can call you Frank, Stan, Steve, whatever. We don't care. Okay. Whatever you want, and you can even tell us, hey, call me this. I don't care. It's whatever. There you go. And Elastic, yes, thank you absolutely for R Bean for that donation, and thanks again, Rita, for that very generous donation. It's people like you that actually help us and get us through and help keep the show going.
Arbeens and Franco and
so
everyone.
If your name is
thank
in
you
green,
so much.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
It's okay.
If your name is in green and you haven't won, let me know now that you have. Hey, Liberty's back. Haven't seen Liberty in forever.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome.
So if your name is in green and you haven't won, let us know you haven't won so we can give you something. But you got to send us your information, your name, your address, and your blood type. I'm joking, please.
Your social
We
security
promise we
number
won't sell it to the vampire
and the
cult.
16 digits on the back of your credit card.
Dude, no bull. I was listening to that he's funny. I can't remember his name. You guys have heard some of his prank calls. He talks real fast like that. So you know what I'm talking about? And he does the prank calls. Y'all have heard him, okay?
I wouldn't know.
You
the name.
have, okay. I played several of them for you. I can't
Oh,
remember-
the guy who has a radio show.
No, he's dead. You don't know what you're talking about. Anyway. So the guy, he does this radio show. I think it's out of Florida or something.
Yeah.
I think it's Pensacola or something like that. But anyway, he does this radio show, and it's crazy. He sat there and he blocked it all out. But he had this woman. He told her there was this amazing sale, and he needed her credit card information. And then he says, "Your friends set you up because they knew that she was gullible enough to give out all of her information." So he got her social security number, 2 of her credit card numbers, her address, her phone number, everything. And I'm sitting there going like, how in the hell do you not know not to say that stuff? Like, come on. I mean, really? So it was, oh man, it was hard. I'm sitting there listening, getting anxiety, going, no, don't do that. And then he goes, and her name was like Brooke or something. He's like, Brooke, it's a good thing I'm a nice guy. And he did not, but it was crazy. He says, you shouldn't be doing that. And he's like, your friends knew you would do that. That's why they wanted me to prank call you. Jubal. That's his name.
Yeah.
It's, no, Brooke was his co-host. It's Brooke and Jubal in the morning. It's called Brooke and Jubal in the morning. I'm not kidding. The guy does prank calls, and he's amazing. And he's so funny. He talks like that. He talks real fast. He's just a real quick-witted guy. Brooke was not. That was his co-host. It wasn't the girl.
So Megan Skinner was the first person to pipe up and says that she hasn't won. And she's in green. She's a member. And then the next person, I think it was Lunar Eclipse. They haven't won.
Lunar Eclipse says, I have one either. That could be a trick. Are you tricking us, Lunar Eclipse? Because I don't even know that the moon is real.
I haven't not won in some time.
I have not won in no time. Ever before, even now, never. BJ says, I haven't won in a year. Okay, well, you know what you need to do? Go join the Patreon. Then maybe I'll give you some. I'm joking. In fact, BJ, fine. Send me your information. I'll send you something else. That's fine. We'll pick you.
Yeah, so Megan Skinner, BJ, and Lunar Eclipse.
You're the winners tonight. So it pays to be a member. See, BJ's winning again. BJ, so I'm sure you probably don't have one of the new shirts we have. So send me your information. Or you could be like Dorothy Metcalf and she can just show up and get stuff.
It was nice seeing Dorothy and her daughter.
Yeah, she came in here with her daughter,
cool.
and did they steal everything?
They got a couple of things.
You better not be stealing all of our stuff. We got people who need that stuff. There's starving kids all over my neighborhood that want to steal it.
People.
They want to eat our shirts.
They want our shirts.
Yeah, if you want tonight, send your information to the email address that's right there at the bottom of the screen. It's Josh Turner at prtpodcast.com. You got to send your shirt size, your a name to mail to, and a physical address to mail to. Okay, so send those 3 things to that email address scrolling at the bottom.
See, she's even lying. No, we did not. What does that mean? We did more?
No, we did not.
I'm joking with you.
Mott. She meant we did take more.
We took more than you thought we did. 5 shirts, 6 books. BJ, yes, all the shirts are technically men's sizes.
But they're comfortable. I'm wearing one right now.
They're gender neutral. What are they? Is that what they're called? Is it?
Unisex.
It's called unisex.
This one right here.
Loved by bearded ladies.
This is my
everywhere.
favorite. This is the burnt orange.
What?
It's wearing
Can you
thin,
show?
nice.
Oh, hang on. You know what? You've been covered by the chat this whole time. Let me move
Thank
it over.
No. Thank goodness.
I want my woman covered head to toe in a burqa, a trash bag.
Funny.
Can't have her out there showing herself.
Not that I would.
What is this? America?
Okay, now you can show him the shirt.
Saudi America?
I like this
It
color.
is
It's my
haram.
favorite. Oh, it looks
This
different
woman
on
is
this.
haram.
Move this. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
Hang on. There it is.
I guess I should have put the back part over my head so it's covering.
Evil Nelly. She defends her husband.
Oh, it kind of.
What is wrong with this witch who fights for her husband? His girlfriend. Whatever, man. Whatever makes you choo-choo run. Can you get the screen back on there? I'm not on here. Where am
I see you. You're on there.
Yeah, but it's not. It's something's.
All right, hang on. Let me see.
Okay, now it's weird.
What, like you're pixelated or something? See, AI is getting mad that you're talking about artificial intelligence.
Well, I see what you think of me.
Jackie, I do too. I love this color. It's like a burnt orange.
John Phoenix says 100 sec is only $10. Hey, $10 is $10. We'll take it. Thank
Oh,
you
Liberty.
for donating. It doesn't matter. One of the things I wanted to address in the comment section, somebody said that the Ajiji did not have wings. There are different versions of that story. This person's from Europe, so I wanted to argue with them for no reason other than to make you feel like you're wrong. No, it doesn't matter. But they know who they are. The Ajiji were said to have been crossbred just like the humans were. And that some of them did have wings after the crossbreeding. But no, the Ajiji did not have wings prior to that. Because if they would have, they'd have just probably flown away and been like, I'm not doing this work. See ya. You know?
Toodles.
Toodles. Start talking like Jesse from Babe Show.
Elastic, I was talking about artificial intelligence because I've actually been looking at it. And like the movies and the shorts that people create with it, it's just like you can, because I found one that was this cute little bunny, but it was like you just know that it looks cute, but there's something wrong with it when you're looking at it. It's like the second time you watch the movie The Thing and you see the dog running, you see the dog, that's a cute dog, but you know that the monster's inside. That's what it's like looking at AI.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
I'm done.
No.
All right, guys. So we're going to head out. We're going to get out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for, because we showed up late tonight. I appreciate everybody who's participated and done doing what they're doing, being a part of Paranormal Roundtable. We got to get these shows done.
Which ones?
Well, we got to get the one about the curse, the mummy, whatever that was, and then whatever you want to call it. We got to do that one, and then we got to get that guy's Bigfoot story out. That's a really kick-ass story. Well, not for them, but I mean for you guys, you'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome! He was terrorized." But him and his family were like, "No, it wasn't awesome.
We're going to bring you this
it really sucked.
Unfortunate story."
Yeah, and then it's like and then we have the Vampires of Mexico. There was a guy that was actually held as a hostage by these cartel. They weren't human. I'm telling you. So anyway, that's a good one too.
After they
Two Shadows says, "What's the Patreon like?" What's up, honey?
Before they bite you, they put a little like pico de gallo on your neck. Mexican vampires. Y2K is that taking over, not the goofy troll wannabes. Oh, the Y2K movie. I haven't seen that, the AI one.
We need to also, if you guys have won in the last couple of weeks, because our email got messed with. So like I said, please resend your information. I want to make sure that I get you your stuff. If you have not received anything, because we mailed off about 2 weeks ago, you should have gotten it. If you have not gotten anything, send me your information. If you're in the UK, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen very quickly here. We're going to, promise you we're going to get this done. We have a million things we're trying to do right now, and we're doing these bids on these accounts, so it's been taking up a lot of time. We are going to meet with a company called Seven Clay. We're gonna hammer it out. We're gonna get this website set up. I promise you. Okay, it's gonna happen. Just things are moving slow because we have so much going on. And if you are from another country and you win, then we will give you a credit to order from from our website. That's how it's going to work. And you'll get the merchandise that way, because the shipping would actually be cheaper than us trying to ship it directly to you privately. And then if you're from the United States, of course, we'll just send it to you. And if you are from the UK in the meantime, and you can do this anytime you want, I can get Paul Sinclair from Truth Proof, Dogman researcher extraordinaire. The guy is an amazing guy. He'll send you a book. Okay. And remind me, I need to talk to Paul Wallace too about his books, because he's in Australia. I might be able to help you with that. A lot of people have reached out to me wanting to work with me, and and it's nothing against anyone, but we are extremely busy. I mean, we have a lot going on, but don't let that stop you from sending in your stories. If we don't reach out to you right away, it could be months down the road when I get to you, but I will get to you. Okay. We'll find you, like that scene in Last of the Mohicans. He's all the water falling on it. I will find you. Bye. See ya. And he leaves her. Hope they don't kill you. I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, it just left her with those guys. Whatever, man. Good thing that Deus Ex Machina actually gets in there and, which is God in the machine, basically, solves the problem. But so last thing, what was it we were going to talk about? Patreon. The Patreon, we're going to get those tumblers made. Okay. And if you're a Patreon member, we send it to you. You get it. You win. All right. And so, like I said, we got to get this stuff done. We got to get, and the ball rolling on several different things. Let's take a vote.
Okay.
On the next show that you want to hear from because the one that's coming up this coming week is set in stone, but the one after that could be anything. I mean, we could do the one about the vampires. We could do the one about the mummy. Or whatever the evil bastard was. And then, I mean, for real, I don't know what the hell it was. I mean, but it was pretty dark and horrible. For
a second, like, and you're like, I don't know.
Dickhead, mummified douchebag.
We need to do some. I would like to talk about some Mandela stuff too.
Yeah,
I like that stuff.
And join the group, Conspiracies and Mandela Effect.
And more. Here, I'll post a link.
What are the options for the next episode?
What are the options?
Vampire, the Mexican vampire one that talks about the guy that was, and then there's the Bigfoot, which is one of the scary Bigfoot stories we have. So you got. I mean, like everybody's gonna say, well, Bigfoot's kind of played out, whatever, but this is a pretty good one. And then we got the vampire one, the mummies, and there was another one that we were going to do. Oh, Chemazats.
Oh, yeah. It's very
the Olmecan vampire, which, well, at first it starts with a C. First, I thought it was, a vampire, but then I think it's a type of Chemazats, because that's what, we talked about that with, I think it's Chema with an A.
Same, Sailor.
There you go.
I love sprouts.
Yeah. And you guys can vote. And this is what we're going to start doing on the Patreon. The Patreon is going to start deciding. Patreon is going to be where it's at, because we're going to get it set up to where Patreon kind of decides what we do. What we're going to do next, and you're going to have a lot of input if you're a Patreon member. Hurt my lip.
You all right?
Yeah. All right.
So far, vampires are winning. We're watching this in real time. Uh-oh.
I can't see it on my phone.
Here.
Annoying.
Oh, I love Sprouts. She's. Oh, you said that. That's what you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah, Sprouts. I love that place.
Sprouts is cool, man.
You can pick
Salem
up
Nemesis is. Where do you live? Because that I thought Sprouts was like. Is that a nation? Is that a nationwide thing?
I don't know.
I guess it's as good as mine.
Hmm.
Let me see what we got here.
Well, we should know where you live. You
Oh,
sent
it's
us
from
your.
Arizona.
Yeah. She
Isn't it?
sent us her information for a black hat. Did we ever send you your black hat?
Oh no, this item is made in Arizona.
Well, there goes that. I mean, you know.
Winged humanoids. Vampires are winning. What about the mummies?
Mm-mm.
Happy Mummy Day. Mummy's Day.
We're gonna do them all anyway. Eventually.
So everybody stops voting. We'll get to them. We'll get to them.
Okay, so we need Sailor. Resend me your information so we can get you your hat. Do we have a black hat still that we could
Oh, if it
send?
lives in Bakersfield area.
That we could
Shafter.
send them.
I gotta check and see if we have any black cats left.
Okay, because I thought we had. Because I had told Tony to put one back, and he said he did, but I guess he didn't. And maybe it was on me. Maybe I didn't send the information, but probably not. Oh yeah, we have one of the Giants of Mexico too.
Oh,
That's
put that up
another
there.
one.
I
But
want that
but
one.
that's not an option because I haven't. This is on me. I haven't got back to him yet.
Tisk tisk.
Yeah. I hate that when you go back and they're like, I already gave my story to some other shitbag channel. And I'm like, well, give it to me anyway because they're going to screw it up.
You've disappointed me for the last.
I'm the best. Okay? I'm the best.
Elastic. I'm blocking all who voted vampire. I guess I take it you don't want the vampire.
So where's the poll? I don't see it.
It's right here on my phone. Do you want to look?
Oh, you have to have your phone out to see it?
No, you can see it on like if you're. I don't know. Like I can't see it on my phone, so I guess it just
Let me
depends
see.
on what kind of phone you have.
Oh, wow.
Mine's old and crappy.
So is mine. So I guess
Oh,
we're
see
not,
right here. Anthony.
I guess we're not going
No,
to get it.
that's not it.
Yeah, but I'm just.
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Yeah. I can do that.
It's not on mine. Oh,
Yeah.
there it is. There it is.
You can see it on the
Okay,
computer.
so I get to vote too. So I'm going to vote this way.
How did you see it on your phone?
Vampires at 50% or 49%, mummies at 16%, Bigfoot's 11%, Chemazot's 23%. If I had to pick one that would be the most interesting for me, I think the Chemazot's one would be.
That's
but
what I picked.
I mean,
So
because
we-
I no offense to anyone that gave me their stories. I mean, that's not saying anything.
It's just interesting.
But we'll do the vampire.
Not that your stories aren't interesting. That's actually bad. Sounded bad.
But if you're a Patreon member, send me your information because your vote counts 1,000 times. So and just send me what your input is, and then we'll go with what you want. I'm joking. All right, guys, thank you for tuning in. Like I said, thank you for being the best part. I think for being the best part of the show is just you guys showing up and listening to me ramble like a madman. You know, I got them evil eyebrows. You see them eyebrows? Just terrible. He's a terrible person, folks. He's terrible. He's absolutely terrible. He didn't even give time to me out of his schedule to call me and wish me a happy Smithens Day. He didn't do that. This guy's horrible. He just works all the time. That's all he does. While I sit around on the couch and eat potato chips and watch Jerry Springer. Lazy bastard. Just working all the time.
Thank you all for showing up. It was really nice seeing you all in the live chat. It's always
Yes.
fun reading them. You guys had me laughing. Some of the comments were cracking me up.
It's fun as always.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Good night. Stay safe out there.
Stay safe. Look out. Look out for devil-faced people. And whatever the hell it was the first guy saw in that building. Chris Anderson says, Anthony, we need more squid billing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Let me tell you something now, Mal. I ain't scared of no Bigfoots. I'll put my tentacle up its butt. All right. I'll see you guys.